And we're live. We should be live. Let's make sure we're live. It says we're live. Is it showing up on the Facebook? It is. It is. It is. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, better now.
You guys ready? All
Ready
right.
as I will ever be.
I am
Let's
ready to
go.
rock.
We are live. So show your beautiful faces, gentlemen. There's my boy Nick. There's Cameron. Deontay will be joining us in a short while. He had to do some busy stuff, you know. But yeah. So this is Nick Lukacic, the king. He's the fellow movie buff here.
I have the best movie opinions here, honestly.
We'll see
Yeah.
about that.
I mean, it is my show. I mean, the JFP. I mean, so obviously, I might be having the best if I have the show, but okay. Then we got
Okay, well,
Cameron.
but between me and Nick, then, yeah. I'm not going to argue with you on your show.
Yeah, I'm the godfather. So, this is Cameron Rhodes.
How we doing tonight?
He's a cool guy.
And fellow nerd, fellow movie buff. So
Hello, nerd.
definitely.
And then Deontay, you will be seeing in a little bit. He's a beautiful man coming in. And we'll talk about Spider-Man and all that stuff. All that good stuff. So, see in the comments. Oh, it's just stream element. No comments yet. Got one person watching. Nice. Let's get into it. Let's talk about. Well, first, I forgot. I'm terrible at marketing. I got to self-promote. Actually, no, I'm going to do that in the middle of the podcast, actually, where more people are watching. Why would I do that at the beginning? So we're going to talk about the movie that I have seen out of this whole group, so
Only
called The Boogeyman.
Wow.
Boogeyman. I have read a lot about it. I actually read the short story whenever the movie was first announced. And I personally really like the short story. And I am excited to see the movie at some point. But I've read like a good amount about like the movie, and everything I've heard about it. It's been really good. It's been really good feedback.
Yeah, so I'll get into that. I've seen some poor reviews of it, and I don't, because I'm in the movie realm, and I don't quite agree with the poor reviews of it. It's really good. It's not great. The basically, I'll just give y'all a synopsis. I mean, it's the Boogeyman. I mean, if you're a little kid, you've grown up hearing about the Boogeyman. It's basically similar to that. He hides in your closet, hides in the dark, all that stuff. And yeah, he kills kids in this one. It's more brutal, but yeah, and it's about a family grieving the loss of their mother, and their dad's a counselor, and this guy comes in, and he kind of he's kind of a weird guy, and he kind of brings something with him. That's what I'll say. And then scary stuff starts happening, man. I will say this is it's effectively creepy. It's got good lighting. I will say it falls apart in the third act, sadly. The first two acts are great. Great scares. It keeps the boogeyman hid. You don't see the monster until the third act in full light. And when you do see the monster in full light, the design is not great. It's very CGI heavy, and you can tell that they're just fighting a green screen monster, so that's not good. But the actor Chris Messina, he's in it. He's been in a lot of movies. He's recently in Air this year. He's the dad, and he's actually really good.
Mhm.
And he plays a great, I guess, grieving dad. And then we got, I don't know who plays the daughter, but she's really good. And then we got the little sister who's actually played Princess Leia in the Obi-Wan show. And
Okay.
yeah, and
That's
she's
like
actually
I think that's like probably like the only person I would recognize from the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know
She
who
is
else is in it.
she is a great child actress, especially in this movie. She shows her chops. Like there's some good levity with her, and that's what I want to get into. The guy that directed it, Rob Savage, is he directed Dash Cam and Host before this, and Host was a big pandemic movie that went big during the pandemic about like it's all shot through MacBook cams, basically one of those type found footage type movies he did, and it's written by the guys that did wrote Quiet Place or helped write Quiet Place, and based off the Stephen King short. Which Nick, what is? I mean, what's the short about? Is it similar to? Is it about like a family that lost their mom and then the dad's a counselor, or is it different? Or like, give us a rundown of the short.
So like I'm trying to remember, and like so from what I remember, it's pretty similar because most Stephen King books and short stories deal with like those elements. You know, it's a family and they lost someone, and there's some aspect of grief. I would say the short story, like the core elements, are pretty similar to the movie, but they did like have to stretch on some stuff because it is a short story. So they had to like add some elements in the movie. But on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like a clone copy of the short story, I would say the movie is probably like a 5 or a 6.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I really don't have much to say about it. It's I don't want to call it horror movie of the week because it's better than that, but I don't think it'll be one that'll be remembered. It's not by no means a classic. It's just a really good, solid B. I'd give it a B plus. That was my grade. Just a solid B plus. Really good horror movie with good scares, some actually great performances, and yeah, there's one scene I wanted to talk about since we can kind of get into a little bit. I don't really want to spoil this one. We can get spoilers, of course, of Across the Spider-Verse, but this I'll just say there's one scene where the little girl has a ball that glows, and there's a shot where she rolls it under the bed, and the camera flips, and it's a great shot. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, it was pretty run of the mill, and it kind of reminded me. Some of the characters reminded me of like '90s horror movie characters. Like some of the teenagers in the movie were very like Mean Girls type, and it was just like okay. But overall, I mean, if you're looking for like a good like date movie, I guess, or like if you're really big into horror, you want to take a girl on a date or a guy on a date, it's that because it has good scares throughout. It's in and out. It's quick. It's a quick movie. It goes by very fast. The pacing's really good on it. I will give it that. And yeah, so I'd recommend it. Check out The Boogeyman. That is a Jacob's Film Perspectives recommendation. But yeah, and oh my gosh, I completely forgot. We have a nice little intro for me here. So let's just do this real quick. You guys ready for this epicness?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I don't think you are.
I'm
we go.
ready.
Thank you to Will for that. Great introduction. I feel official now that I have my own intro. And I mean, if you didn't see if we didn't have all these beautiful faces up here, you could see my logo is the background. And shout out to Lindsay McLaughlin graphic design artist goes to Simo. Shout out to her. She's the one that created those designs for me. And yeah, so I'll give her a shout out. And if you need graphic design work, go to her. And yeah, so let's get into Nick's segment about similar Stephen King stuff. Since we're on the topic of Stephen King,
Right.
what do you got? What do you got for us, Nick?
Well, first off, one aspect of Stephen King, my personal opinion is Stephen King does not write good novels, but he writes good short stories. Every Stephen King short story I've read is amazing. His novels, they're not bad, but they're overhyped, in my opinion. They're overhyped. Like Pet Sematary, and good. Like those novels are good, but they're not the best thing ever. I feel like they're overhyped. But the problem is the movies based on the novels are better than the movies based on the short stories. But I guess similar Stephen King movies, one thing you said was it was very 90s inspired. And looking back, I feel like the 90s was probably like the cream of the crop for like Stephen King movies and miniseries, because that's when the It miniseries came out. And one fundamental of like Stephen King movies and stories is this whole, teenage, dynamic, cliches and stuff like that. You have like the bullies, you have like the mean girls, but you also have like this small group of friends. I would say some Stephen King movies are very similar to this one, in my opinion, would be the It miniseries from the 90s, Stand By Me, and the one werewolf one. I forget the name of it. It came out in the 80s, I think.
Silver Bullet.
Yeah, that one. That one. I would say those three, in my opinion, are the most similar to The Boogeyman, not in terms of just like overall like scariness, but it has some of the basic Stephen King fundamentals.
Okay. And like Ben Stewart here says, 90s movies saving Stephen King.
They did.
That's
They
bad.
did.
Okay, Ben.
Because one thing, The Shining movie, it's a good movie, but the thing is, Stephen King hated that movie. He hated it with a passion. But the Shining miniseries, which I believe came out in the 90s or early 2000s.
97.
97, yes. That was more accurate to the book. And I actually watched it a year ago. I will say, I do think it's better than the movie. I feel like Stanley Kubrick took the book and basically butchered it in some aspect. He was trying to make it more of a not like a ghost story per se. He was trying to add this guy's crazy. This guy is a former alcoholic. This is why this stuff is happening. But the 90s really did save Stephen King, because a ton of stuff came out that year for him. A ton of stuff, like a ton of miniseries and a ton of movies. And it's one of those things, Stephen King will always be a household name. But when it comes to movies and miniseries, the 90s are the cream of the crop for Stephen King.
I'll agree with that. I mean, we already talked about it on the last episode. The It miniseries is one of my favorite horror films of all time. So, I mean, that, and he had Shawshank Redemption. I mean, that takes the cake. That's by far, I don't think you can argue that that's not his best film adaptation ever.
Well, actually.
Oh, what do you have, Nick? Here comes Nick. Nick already has the hot takes about The Shining.
Oh, boy.
The best Stephen King adaptation is Maximum Overdrive.
Okay, you're just trolling now, right? You're not being
trolling. It's a good movie. I like it.
Never even heard
But
of it.
honestly, though, I think the best Stephen King adaptation, in my opinion, is Carrie. Carrie is the best Stephen King adaptation, in my opinion. I would put Shawshank in my top 5, maybe even the top 3. But Carrie and Cujo and The Dead Zone are my 3 favorite Stephen King adaptations.
So you said Carrie, The Dead Zone, and what?
Cujo.
Cujo? Are you kidding me?
Cujo's such a good movie.
All right. For me, as the godfather here of movies, that's going to be the new name. We're going to make a shirt. It says Jacob, Godfather of Movies. But anyway, Shawshank Redemption is the best Stephen King adaptation ever made. It's the greatest film ever made, in my opinion. It's not my third favorite film of all time. I will go out on a limb. I will cut all my limbs off. I'll do anything for that movie. And then after that, The Shining, Stanley Kubrick, man. I don't know how you can think that 1997 miniseries is better than Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. That is the second greatest horror film ever made, right behind Halloween. Halloween's the greatest. The Shining.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Deontay coming in hot.
Yeah.
Saved me with these.
Man,
save me. I'm just here in quiet and isolation. I have no idea what they're talking about.
What? Not a single Stephen King movie?
I've never really watched a lot of I've never really watched. I don't like horror, so I didn't really watch anything like by Stephen King growing up.
Man,
I know. I was sheltered. I was secluded. I was just a very, very weird child.
Me too, man. Me too.
I mean, I was a weird kid, but like in the horror sense, where I was like watching. I was watching the horror films, and like I shouldn't have been. I mean, I watched Halloween way too young, but that's builds character, man.
Halloween, the original, it's not even like that bad compared to like other horror movies or even like future Halloween movies.
Yeah,
it's very tame when you go back to it.
Like even Halloween 2, which is more graphic than the first one, is pretty tame compared to other horror movies.
Yeah,
and that was like one major criticism of Halloween 2. Like everyone said it was too graphic, but like in all reality, it's just like a few throat slits here and there, and that's it really.
What's funny about the Halloween is Halloween came out, and Friday the 13th, they ripped off Halloween with Friday the 13th, and then Halloween 2 was made to be more like Friday the 13th. So it's like it was a weird series of events there. John Carpenter blew the walls off with Halloween, and then I forgot who made Friday the 13th, but the writers of that, I mean, they've come out and said that they wanted to rip off Halloween with making that movie, which when you watch Friday the 13th, it's not that very similar besides the teenager aspect.
Right.
But, and then because of the success of those movies, when they made Halloween, by the time they came back around to Halloween 2, they basically forced John Carpenter to make it more like Friday the 13th. And he's even gone on record saying he wished he never made that film, that he wished he never made it. And I completely agree. Halloween 2 is not a good movie.
I like Halloween 2. Okay, hot take.
Uh-oh.
Halloween 2 is the best Halloween movie out there, in my opinion. It goes Halloween 2, Halloween 1. I would say the remake from a couple of years ago, the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, they're terrible.
Yeah.
Oh. They're just so bad. But Halloween 2, it's so good. So.
I love the zombie. I love the Rob Zombie Halloweens.
I can't speak too much because I've only ever seen the original vaguely, but you're gonna say that Halloween 2 is better than the newer movies that came out like last 4 years where
I will
invigorate. Wow.
Yeah. So like the remakes, those three, the first one was really good. The second one was decent. And the last one that came out was just terrible. That one was terrible. But I would say it goes Halloween 2, then the first Halloween movie, then the remake of Halloween. Because the other ones in that trilogy, it like the second one was okay, but then the final one that came out like a year or two ago, Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends, that one was just terrible in my opinion.
Real quick, we're gonna give a shout out to Ben Stewart and Mac, aka your boy, and the DFPN family. Thank you guys for tuning in.
And your brother, the Emperor King Will.
Emperor King Will is also in the comment section. So shout out to all you guys. Thank you for stopping by. And also, as far as Stephen King movies go, real quick, it is actually like my top 5. But the OG series.
Which is the original or the
OG? Like Tim Curry, Pennywise.
I had to ask.
Yeah, not
And,
Bill Skarsgård, but Tim Curry.
I want to say right here, the DFPN, they're right here with this comment. Let me show it. Shawshank is
Yeah.
goated. Yes, it is. They're completely right on that one.
Greatest of all time, did.
Yes,
It is.
sir.
It is. Facts.
It's
I
that is
just
one of
want
my
to know
favorites as well.
how Nick. See, this is why I like having Nick on the show because he has the weirdest takes. Because he just said that the 1997 TV miniseries The Shining is better than Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece The Shining. He also said in the same breath that Halloween 2 is better than the original Halloween.
It is, bro. It is.
I mean,
Man,
He also said we're not even finished. He also said that Cujo and Carrie and Maximum Overdrive are all better adaptations than Silver Bullet, the It miniseries, Shawshank, The Green
I don't think-
Mile.
I never
The Green
said that. I said Cujo and Carrie and The Dead Zone are the best Stephen King adaptations of all time. That's what I said.
Cujo was a very traumatic experience for me, especially because I had friends with Saint Bernard, so it just like
yeah, if I had watched Cujo, I would have been afraid of dogs. more
yeah.
so.
I watched Cujo I watched Cujo around the same time I got done watching the Beethoven series,
Yeah,
and that just messed me up, honestly.
yeah,
Oh God, the complete opposite. You have this dog that everyone loves, and, like makes a mess, and then you have this other dog who just slaughters everyone. Just Lord, no.
Mac
Yeah.
is definitely right here. Misery is also a top 5 Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Misery is definitely my top 5. My top 5.
Like I said, I can't speak. I can't.
Yeah, it's horror movies galore, Cameron. You got to get in on it.
One day, I mean, I was never big into horror. Like, I mean, I will watch it if I'm on a date or like friends want to, but me personally, no. Like, no offense, but yeah, no, it's not my jam.
Come on,
I
Cameron, you
understand.
got to get into it.
One day, if someone like pays me like, hey, watch these movies, like, okay, sure, like, gotta be like good money though.
That's a real job too. Like you can get paid to watch movies for companies.
Mhm.
So it's just, and I still haven't put in the application yet. So
Dude, send the application my way.
yeah,
I mean, that's what I'm trying to get with Jacob's Film Perspectives. You know,
Eh.
I'm trying to get some moolah for watching these movies. I can't even talk. These
Take money to
Facts.
make money, young man.
yeah, and like podcasts like this could get people whatchamacallit, red carpet premieres. So like a lot of
Mhm.
content
Oh, yeah.
creators are getting called to the red
And
carpet.
not just podcasts, reactors, because a lot of reactors on or on YouTube a lot, they get called. They're able to like go to like premieres and like red carpets, like actually meet people.
Yeah, I got there's a guy that may be coming to Saturday Night Nerds soon. He got invited to a couple of Marvel's latest premieres, and it's just like he's been famous for all of 6 months. Not even famous. He just like viral internet famous.
Is this something I know of, or something you're gonna tell me later?
Yeah, it's a surprise on the way.
It's a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
You and me are gonna have to talk later, but
Yeah,
but we can save that for later.
They need Jacob on the red carpet.
absolutely.
I'll show up in a suit and tie to
An
watch
actual
any
suit and tie, not a T-shirt that has a suit and tie on it.
No, I'll show up in an actual suit and tie with my hair slicked back like Patrick Bateman, and we will watch. We will watch any movie. Just invite me.
Yeah, it's
not
two of
scared.
the guys that I was hinting to. It's two of them. So, and surprisingly, both of them are huge One Piece fans. So, that's a hint to who they are.
Okay,
You
and I are gonna have words after this. Like, so I'm left in the dark. But let's move on.
Like, back to the Stephen King stuff. Let's see, Nick. What else did you have? Did you have anything else for your segment here?
That was mainly it. I guess the final thing I could say is
Besides all your hot takes.
the short story, The Boogeyman, comes from the Stephen King collection Night Shift, which is one of his best collection of short stories. So if anyone wants to read that, do it. It's so good. That and The Skeleton Crew have to be my favorite works by him.
Skeleton Crew was nice.
I'll have to check those out. I have not read Stephen King. I'll have to check those out for sure.
Again, just remember with Stephen King, his books are not that good, but his short stories are amazing.
Yeah, the short stories are good. I'm obsessed with everything it related. I as far as the reboot goes, that's probably the one thing I'm like on the fence about. But like the TV series from the '90s and in the books, I loved it. Stephen King was genius for that.
I cannot talk about the reboot, the remake of it again. I'm sorry, guys. I can't.
Man.
I can't do that again.
I don't want to hear it again.
Yeah, I had to break you two up last episode.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that again. The miniseries will always reign free and supreme, and that's
and let's just end it there. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
Boogeyman.
That's what you had for the Boogeyman segment, Nick.
Yep.
So you basically just had a bunch of hot takes to make Jacob mad, is what it seemed like.
No. No, I did not. No, I did not.
Then good. Carry on.
I would say this segment is have information about similar movies or like short stories or books and all that. And I guess I guess it is safe to say the other half is my hot takes about those related movies, if you will.
That is Midnight Meat Train is a good movie.
It is.
And
that
The
is
Mist,
a classic. Yeah.
The Mist
The Mist was so good.
The Mist is easily a top 10 Stephen King movie of all time, easily. Not top 5, but top 10.
I disagree
Another traumatic
about
experience.
Mist being great. I feel like The Mist was amazing until it wasn't. I feel like because Frank Darabont directed that. I mean, he did Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile. So, I mean, he did 2 of the best Stephen King adaptations already. And with The Mist, he really just missed the mark. See what I did there? That was bad. But no, I agree. It's great until the end because they shoot themselves in the foot with the end because the ending feels so forced to me. It was like, oh, let's make this more depressing and sad than it already is.
Yeah.
The original ending was like more depressing than that actually, because from the book, what happened was they like, I'm trying to remember because I'm trying to remember about it real quick, but anyway, go. I'm trying to remember about that real quick.
Okay, because The Mist, I'm telling you, I feel like they shot themselves in the foot with it because it's a great film and everything goes well in it until literally the end where they just force an ending on. They force a bad ending. They
right.
It feels too like it felt too in the middle. It felt they could have went all the way dark like they wanted to, or they could have went like the hopeful ending. And they decided to put like in the middle. And like from what I read on it, they like compromised on the ending, and they should have just left it completely dark if they were going to do it completely dark. I feel like it was emotionally manipulative the way the director did the ending, and I feel like it's one of those movies where it's like, oh, okay, let's make the ending shocking so everybody will remember it. But really, I enjoy the rest of the movie a lot more than the ending. I think the rest of the movie is just intriguing with the whole how they start going against each other and the whole religious aspect and how like different values and different sets.
Yeah, I pretty much I honestly think it led the way forward for a lot of the newer new school horror movies. Like I wouldn't put it like top 5 or anything crazy like that, but it definitely, like watching Bird Box on Netflix. It kind of gave me like the Mist influence, but I could be tripping, but maybe the movie was written way beforehand. But I feel like a couple movies, maybe like Cloverfield, might have had a little bit of Mist influence, but I don't remember how old the Mist was compared to some of these films.
I think The Mist and Cloverfield came out at the same year. I want to
Same
say
year. Yeah,
2007.
'cause Bird Box was only like a couple years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bird Box felt very much like The Mist too. I agree with that. It had a very Mist vibe to it. Not as
Yeah.
good, but it had that vibe on it. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
I
was
mean,
Bird
what?
Box was the one movie I kind of struggled getting to the end of, but it wasn't that difficult as far as um the Mist goes.
All right. If that's what Nick's got, then we're gonna get into Spider-Man, guys.
All
Spider
righty.
freaking Man.
The
Let's
moment you all have been waiting for.
we got it. We had to tease you guys with Stephen King things. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
Boogeyman was it?
Boogeyman.
Boogeyman is basically just go see it if you want to, and whatever score Jacob gave it.
But no matter what, go see Spider-Man. That's what you have to go see.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I give it a B
Yeah,
plus. I gave Boogeyman a B plus, and
Nice.
I said it's a good date movie. A good if you're if you're looking to get scared, it does the job with the scares. It's not great, but it's really good. And okay, now here we go to Across the Spider-Verse. So I'm gonna let whoever wants to take it first because I have my thoughts on it, and I feel like you guys might kill me, but I feel like I may have a little controversial. I'll get this out of the way first. I love the movie, absolutely loved it. I think it's a little overhyped. I don't think it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, but I will say if they land it when they do release Beyond the Spider-Verse, if they land this story, then I can positively say it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time.
And your work. Now, before we start, how we've all seen Across the Spider-Verse, correct?
Except
Right.
Nick.
Except
I
Nick?
saw it. Yeah. No, I saw it last night.
You
Okay,
saw
yeah.
it?
Yeah, I saw it last night.
I'm so proud of you. Let's go, Nick.
Hey! I mean, Deontay. It took him like forever. Literally, the day me, Deontay, and Blake and Danny of Comically Inclined, we all went and saw it Thursday, and like literally like a couple of hours before he came to the theater, he saw Into the Spider-Verse for the first time. He never saw Into the Spider-Verse 5 years.
Yeah.
That day. I know, but
Right before the show.
literally, but it was a good thing he did because now he's a huge. Now his beef with Miles Morales is squashed.
Yeah.
Legitimately, but for anyone watching, we apologize for the spoilers, but we are diving deep into this because this is one of the best animated movies of the year, and that's along with Super Mario Brothers, and one of the best Spider-Man movies, and one of the best comic book movies for sure. Like, it was amazing, just pure bliss, and just the story. I was not expecting the story to go the course it was going, but it was really, really good, and I love that. While we still kept the focus on Miles, but it also shared with Gwen. It was much as Gwen's story as it was Miles's, and I really, really like that. Yeah, I'm struggling, Will. I'm struggling. You got something to say about that, buddy?
Yeah.
Get your brother in check. But no, it was a Gwen and Miles story, and it was they did a really good job of balancing like both of their sides, as well as just like taking us to different dimensions, like seeing Gwen's home and seeing uh, Mumbattan, and Nueva York, and so many other places. It's and the music, just the style, the different style choices for the entire movie and each spider, each world. It was just man. It's no wonder that it took this movie like 5+ years to make happen, but it was worth it for sure. Like, and it's just amazing. And if anything, I'm probably gonna go see it again, no matter what. I just don't know when. But oh man, and I think out of all the spiders that we met, I think my favorite is Spider Punk.
I knew it.
Yes.
Yeah, damn right you did.
I knew it.
Voiced by the great Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out, and he's just a rocker, man. Like, he's amazing. Just like I don't believe in consistency. I love it.
He was way too cool for this movie.
He really was, and like I've always been cool, bruh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And even though Miguel, dude, Oscar Isaac, who has now been in 3 Marvel film roles now, like he was Apocalypse, he's Moon Knight, and now he's Spider-Man 2099. But
let's not talk about him being Apocalypse.
I didn't hate him as Apocalypse. I didn't hate him. There have been worse. There have been worse X-Men villains.
He was too short to be Apocalypse, but
Wow.
Damn. Okay. But no. Even though he's not necessarily a villain, but he definitely is an opposing force, and he was terrifying. As Miguel O'Hara, and just ooh man, like even when Gwen says we're supposed to be the good guys, and like other spiders in that room are being like, I don't feel really heroic, and Miguel's just gonna be like, yes we are, so follow my freaking lead.
It's just like, you in what army?
This army, man. This army
right.
I made.
So we basically get right here that Cameron had a very religious experience with Across the Spider-Verse.
I mean, more or less, Spider-Man's like one of my favorite heroes, Marvel and just in general. So, yeah. So, and this is honestly, this is one of the best Spider-Man movies I've ever seen. That up with No Way Home. Like, I can't decide which is better in my opinion, but they're both really amazing.
I have a question to ask all of you guys here, and I kind of want to hear from all of y'all on this subject. But before I do, I want to plug, because we were talking about spoilers. I was waiting for more people to get in here. If you want non-spoiler written reviews, I'm still doing them. I'm at Jacob's Film Perspectives on Facebook and Instagram. That'll be where the non-spoiler reviews stay. So like you'll never have to worry about spoilers. They're very short, very quick and easy to read if you don't want to watch a whole podcast, which hopefully you do because it's super entertaining. It's better than any movie. Any movie you could watch is better. Besides Shawshank Redemption and this, I never get it right. Drive, I can't get my angles, but you see the poster back there besides Drive. But okay.
You had to get that framed up.
I need to figure it out. But yeah, you can follow us there. But like I said, we're gonna get into spoilers here, and now I want to ask all of y'all. But yeah, Jacob's Films Perspectives. You see it, the name under my face on Instagram and Facebook. Go check it out. Almost 200 followers on there. That's pretty cool. And let's get into it, guys. So what I want to ask is, do you think that the fan service in this movie, because there is fan service. There is fan service.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes. Do you think that fan service is taking over the comic book genre too much now? Because before you guys say anything, I just want to list this out. I was thinking about this today, and I was like, I want to bring this up on because this will be an interesting topic to dive into Across the Spider-Verse, because again, it is cameo galore. With No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness having it, Flash coming out in a few weeks, going to have it, obviously. Do you think that the storytelling is starting to struggle, and now studios are more thinking, hey, fans rather just see old things they love. Let's just throw this in here instead of story.
No, I don't think so.
I honestly blame that on the directors. Yeah.
Well, like one thing about like comic books is like, like those comic books are like all connected. Like the Marvel universe, the DC universe, they're finally making movies that expand on this idea of like multiple heroes working together in one city, on one planet, different galaxies. And so like I feel like the fan service is just reflecting the multiverse nature of comic books already that have been around for like the past 30, 20, 40 years really.
Okay,
Right.
but the multiverse is just one small aspect of comic books. We're talking specifically like multiverse. Do you think, because now DC and Marvel is both doing it, do you think it's too saturated in film right now, the whole multiverse idea? I'm not saying, my opinion on it is, I'll give you guys my opinion. My opinion on it is, I feel like we're at an edge here. I feel like if we go a little too further, a little more, I feel like we're going to be pushing it. But I feel like right now, where we are at, it's not too much. But I feel like we are on the edge of it being too much. I feel like.
Like I'll let it slide for like this Sony trilogy with the animated movies. But as far as like the MCU goes, we've actually gotten a fairly decent break from multiverse stuff. After Multiverse of Madness, we had She-Hulk and like a couple other shows and movies, and
She-Hulk, Black Panther,
yeah,
now Guardians. Yeah, no, I mean, from Marvel, we've only really just had, even though it's the multiverse saga, which is what they're calling phases 4, 5, and 6, the only sort of multiversity we've had is from Doctor Strange and the What If series, which is a fairly decent amount. And with DC, we've had it for a good while, but not just with the Flash movie that'll be out like in a week and a half, but also from like the Flash shows and like all the DC CW shows. That they did the multiverse for those shows, but they did like a very good job, like not overdoing it too much. So no, I mean, and then plus like shows and like other genres have done like different dimensions, different Earths, like parallel worlds. It's been part of like science fiction and just like in television and film like for years. But no, I don't feel like we're being oversaturated at all. I mean, so long as they don't like to a point be like, we're just gonna jam it down your throat and you're gonna take it. Just take all this goodness. No, which do not take that out of context, people. I swear to God. I know Will or Ben.
Somebody's gonna clip that.
I swear to God, if somebody does, I'm gonna go after them. But no.
Yeah, pause.
There was Will.
No. As long as it's like they don't like to a point like just nonstop, which I don't think they will. I think they'll be smart about it and like give us a decent amount at a time. No, I don't think they will. Same with the fan service, because the fan service, like, they're making these movies not just for Hollywood just to make money, but they're doing it for the fans, like the directors, the writers, the actors, because they love, like, they truly have a passion. Like some of them more than others, like have a passion for these projects, for these characters, for these worlds. So they put their heart and soul into it, and they want to do it a good job, not just for themselves but for the fans. So, and even with like the Easter eggs, the cameos, and like all like little fan moments, like we have all this history that's been laid out for us over like the past 20, 40, 50 years ago, that's just being brought up like to the surface, and yeah.
I will say this, as far as like on the positive look of it, like not only have we been on like a fairly decent break from the multiverse stuff, like the closest we've gotten was dealing with Quantum Mania, and then we've had like Guardians of the Galaxy after that. We got Secret Invasion this month, and Miss Marvel and like
the Marvel
Echo
in November, and we'll also have Loki season 2 in October.
Yeah, so October, that'll be our next interaction with the multiverse situation. So
for sure.
So we've had a pretty extensive break as far as Marvel goes. I don't foresee DC leaving the multiverse situation alone for a little bit. We
Right.
got Flash coming up, and then whatever else they got going on TV might have something to do with it. If James Gunn decides that we should use the multiverse in that.
Right, because because this is like I think the one of the only few DC movies that's dealing with like different worlds. Because the TV shows like The Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, they were all very much interconnected with each other and different worlds, parallel Earths. So so if they do decide to go like maybe like parallel Earths, like different dimensions, they I don't think they'll do it right away, but still, like, we'll just have to wait and see what happens because we still don't know a whole bunch about what Gunn is going to do with the DC. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Gunn is already like laying it out that most
Like
of
a
the stuff we
10-year
see
plan.
now,
Yeah,
yeah,
10-year plan that he has not, like, even completely unfolded.
he's relying on else worlds instead of like using the multiverse. So that's going to be pretty cool. So
Right. Robert Pattinson's Batman and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker are going to be Elseworlds.
yeah, and like Blue Beetle is an Elseworld story, and then
Possibly.
yeah,
We don't really know for sure. Same with Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
and we despite the reviews that we've heard about Aquaman 2 already, I'm still looking forward to it.
I will always be happy to watch Jason Momoa just in anything. Dune, Aquaman, Fast X, uh, which he was probably one of the few bright spots of Fast X. And weirdly enough, Fast X and Across the Spider-Verse, they both like set up like a cliffhanger. Across the Spider-Verse did a better job at like leaving the fans like hanging and wanting more, like seeing what's going to happen. Much better than Fast X for sure.
Yeah,
I'll
because
just
we
say,
got
you,
we got more than enough information about what's going to happen after that cliffhanger. So we got exactly what we needed.
well,
Yes.
also going in, I mean, before this and Beyond the Spider Verse, it was called Part One and Part Two before.
Right. It was originally going to
So,
be it was originally going to be part 1 and 2, and then the
so
directors, the producers were like,
yeah,
we're going to change the names.
we kind of got we already got basically told that it's going to be a 2-part story already. Whereas some movies going in, you have it, and I agree. I wanted to ask about the fan first thing because I've been seeing that online and in the movie community that's all that is, and because like you guys are more into the comic sides of stuff, and this is the film side. I'm the film guy. This is so on the film side, it's a little bit differently because in terms of storytelling and stuff, it's just different how that works usually. But what I see is, like I said, I don't think it's too much either. Like I don't watch the CW shows because I'm a film guy. I don't care about those. They're too low budget for me. They're too cheesy. They're too soap opera.
I can kind of
Yeah.
understand. Though the
Absolutely.
DC era of the CW worst, I felt like was like the one exception. Like those are really good standouts though. And Superman and Lois, which is on now, that's filmed way different. That actually does look very cinematic. I would suggest not only to you but to anyone watch Superman and Lois.
I have an interest in that one.
You would like that. It's really good. The shots are amazing. The scenes and just like the storytelling is just like brilliant. They did a really good job with the first season, probably the best season like so far.
There's probably quite a bit of hype for that show,
which is why people are wanting it to be renewed. If not on CW, move it to Max.
Please.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And you see,
Max will take care of them.
My only hold up with that is I'm not a Superman fan. Obviously, I'm Batman and Spider-Man all the way.
Understandably, trust me.
Let's go.
Batman,
Understandably,
Spider-Man.
absolutely. I love Spider-Man. I love
I
Batman.
will say something. I will say something here, though. This may be controversial. I always say this may be controversial, and then I say the most softball thing. like I'm over here acting like I'm saying like these horrible things, but I'm just saying regular stuff. But anyway, I am really looking forward to James Gunn's Superman.
Okay,
Especially when you see the casting options that he has.
possibly, yeah. I mean,
And I am of the small group of people that think it was smart to recast Henry Cavill, because if you look at the universe and what he's doing, Henry Cavill, yes, he still looks young, but he is 39. He's trying to do a Superman. He wants to do a young Superman that will go 10 years. Henry Cavill is not the right fit for that. Man of Steel is great. Like, Man of Steel is a great movie. I like Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's a little too style over substance for me as a film guy, but
Mm-hmm.
Man of Steel, I think, is also a little overrated. I'll say it.
It is.
People say it's underrated. I think more people love Man of Steel than hate Man
I'm
of Steel.
obsessed with it. Yeah.
I think
yeah,
it's a little
me and D
overrated.
are like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but no. I mean, I can understand because you're right. Because James wants to find someone who can play Superman for a very long time, like the 10-year plan. And I do understand and respect that choice of his, but also just Henry Cavill has done. He hasn't been in like so many. He's only been in so many films, but he's done such a good job, just like capturing
I completely agree with you on that. I think the biggest thing that Warner Brothers did was completely waste Henry Cavill's Superman. That's the worst thing they've done. Because
right.
I
Very
think
disrespectful.
Warner Brothers' fault because they didn't
Yeah.
really know what they were doing. Like they
Exactly.
didn't have like a 20-year plan like Marvel does, like in their basement or whatever. Like they just tried to make whatever movies they thought they could based on what popular characters they thought they could like uh, to do. But yeah, no, I mean if they had just thought it out more carefully and like not screwed over Henry Cavill like everyone does, I'm talking to you, Netflix, then we would have had a really great Superman, like for who knows how much longer. Like
He was born to be Superman. Like,
Yeah, he
Jesus.
he was,
I will
he
give
was
that.
made to be Superman. He was made to be Geralt of Rivia. He was made to do so much great, and everyone just wants to just, you know what? You're too much. You're good.
Absolutely.
As somebody who doesn't, as somebody who is a Batman, Spider-Man fan at heart and never been a big Superman fan, never cared for him. I always thought he was too overpowered, I don't really care for him. But Henry Cavill was the first person that I watched that made me go like, okay, I like Superman. Like, I like his darker approach to it. His acting is great, and I feel like Warner Brothers has done a lot of terrible stuff with DC in the past decade, but I feel like that is the worst thing they did was squander
And just waste him. Yeah.
Yeah, they wasted him completely.
No, I agree. Because I'm actually. I was just. I think I told you earlier this like a day or two ago, Deontay. Man of Steel was like one of the first like Superman movies that made me like, okay, I'm really into. Okay, Superman isn't so bad because out of most, I was definitely Batman over Superman for sure. But Man of Steel made me think, okay, this guy isn't so bad. So yeah, no, definitely like Henry Cavill like being Superman and Man of Steel just maybe take another look and be like, yes.
It's just sad because he's a great actor and he seems like a great person in real life. And I mean, they even brought him in Black Adam and they basically got his hopes up just to waste them completely.
Right, and that was at the same. They also announced like he was coming back before like James made his own announcement, be like, or something like that. Yeah. Just like they got his hopes up, they got our hopes up, and be like, just squander it all.
I am excited for the new James Gunn Superman, but I will agree that it is sad, and I really wish we could have seen what Henry Cavill could have done as Superman.
Right. Though I did hear like a rumor that he might make like one last appearance in the Flash, though apparently.
Possibly. Well, I mean, there's the whole multiverse, so they could bring him back.
Mm-hmm. Now, right.
Multiverse being a big thing, they could, I feel like if you are to use the multiverse again, I mean, that would be the best way to use it, is to at least give him some like, I don't want to say revenge, but some like, like here, finally be able to do something with the character that you work so
Maybe
hard to be.
and he could do a different turn. He could play like a dark Superman. He could play Superman from Injustice, the games. That would be really interesting. And it also goes to say the same for like other actors and actresses who've been in DC movies. Like James has never said that like no one like from the other movies from the last decade are like they're not necessarily done. Like we don't know if Jason Momoa is gonna keep playing Aquaman or he's gonna go over to Lobo. We don't know if Gal Gadot is gonna stop playing Wonder Woman or if Ezra Miller is done with the Flash after this, or Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn, and so on and so on. We don't know anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ezra is the only one that we have confirmed. Like Warner Brothers, I think before Walter Hamada stepped down, like confirmed, like Flash Barry Allen at the very least is getting recasted.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God.
Yeah,
he's getting the help he needs. If he's getting the help he needs and is actually taking responsibility and like doing it right, like I will give the man a second chance. And not only that, if this movie is as acclaimed as everyone's saying it's going to be, then by all means. And also, Warner Brothers is already like working on a writing for a sequel for The Flash. So we might possibly get like Ezra Miller back or someone else, like you said, D.
yeah. Like Ben just mentioned, maybe Wally West would be a good sub. I mean, because we had Wally West growing up with the Justice League animated series, so it's like you couldn't go wrong with Wally.
Right, Wally West was that, and that he's also been in Young Justice as Kid Flash, and he's a Flash in the comics now. He's the Flash.
Yeah, that would be an easy save for James Gunn. It's just like I'm just going to cast Wally.
Definitely,
yeah,
absolutely. Especially if they want to like maybe go like a Justice League route. Like, give us Jon Stewart, give us Hawkgirl, give us Martian Manhunter, which was another waste thing that they did. But
yeah, what was I about to say? Yeah, screw Hal Jordan. That's what I was about to say. So
yeah, I would rather have either Jon Stewart or Kyle Rayner as my Geo.
Yeah, especially for Gunn's going to handle it well.
I'll take Jon Stewart.
Same.
Everyone's just like, we love Jon Stewart. Goodbye, Hal Jordan.
Yeah, Jon Stewart is the best, most interesting Green Lantern, I think. But that's just
absolutely.
Me.
That's my guy.
My favorite's always been Kyle Rayner, personally.
Yeah,
I just grew up.
Kyle's up there too.
I've just grown up with Jon Stewart because of the Justice League animated series.
Yep.
Oh, same, absolutely. He's one of my favorites too. Like I definitely prefer Jon Stewart over Hal Jordan myself too.
When I saw him on the TV, I was like, "Holy shit, he looks like me." So that's
what they want. That's what we need more of.
That's another great. Like if you're gonna do Green Lantern, I mean that's another great way you can do representation. He's already cooler and better anyway. So
yes, absolutely. And they could also do the same if they want to do Jessica Cruz as a Green Lantern too. Not only a Latina, but a female Green Lantern as well. Representation.
Yeah, the only thing is just timeline. Like, what timeline is James Gunn gonna solidify? Because if he goes with like the new school Green Lanterns, he's gonna need like older Supes, older Bats, and all those guys around. And
we're just speculating at this point. We don't know when
yeah.
He's keeping everything in house. He is not your brother, Ben. He is not.
I want to know who Danny Stewart is because somebody said I'm Danny Stewart in disguise.
No, the Danny is Ben's brother and one of the co-founders of Comically Inclined. Also, apparently, Jon Stewart was your Miles Morales moment. Apparently, I think that was directed to you, Deontay.
Miles Morales moment.
I have to say, yeah, you better.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw Jon Stewart on TV, and I was like, blew my head off my shoulders because I was the only cartoon that I had like a superhero that looked like me.
And that Static Shock.
Static Shock came like years later.
Like a few
And
years. It wasn't that far apart.
yeah, they're like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited was like my very first access to it. So it was like,
Static Shock. Static Shock was one of my favorites as a kid.
yeah, him and Richie's friendship was like awesome. Like seeing like, because that was like a part of the message of the show was like showing two best friends working together to
Definitely.
protect the city. And then
We need a
one of the
Static
episodes,
Shock live action.
exactly.
Gunna
And-
said that he wants to like do like a Static Shock, not only Static but like other characters from like Milestone Comics, like Icon or Rocket or other characters.
I was like halfway into like Will's joke. I don't know if he was joking or ask Ben and Danny that the middle bro, he just not around.
Oh my gosh.
I
No, well, don't know. No.
I was like halfway into reading that and like halfway into like what you were saying. Crap. I lost my train of thought, but here's another comment.
Here's another
I will say, I love how we just went on a tangent talking about DC when we're supposed to be talking about Across the Spider-Verse.
I'm about to say,
Yeah.
let's take it back to like
Let's
All
get this.
bad.
Let's rein this back into Across the Spider-Verse and the Spider-Verse movies. Let's talk about that. So you guys think? Because we really haven't given Cameron has, of course, he loved it, but like I want to know what Deontay you think and Nick what you think. What do you guys think overall?
Yeah, Nick, you're more than welcome to go ahead of me.
Okay, so hot take time. Hot take.
Here we
Uh-oh.
go.
In my personal opinion,
don't make me mad.
the two Spider-Verse movies are the best Marvel movies of the past 10 years. And in my personal opinion, in the next 10 years, those will probably be really the only good Marvel movies, in my opinion.
Wow. So
In
you're
my-
saying it's
In my
better than,
humble opinion.
better than Guardians of the Galaxy, any of them, better than Avengers,
Infinity
Endgame,
War.
better than
Yes. See, first off, I'm not a huge fan of the MCU to begin with. So
Okay, hold
there's
on, Nick. Before you
Go
say
ahead.
first off, I want to preface this because I know of Nick's history with the MCU. Nick is a known MCU hater, so let's just get this out of the way.
I'm not like a hater.
what's your
He's made
issue with the
posts-
Marvel? What is your issue
He's
with the
made
Marvel?
posts on Facebook many times. Many times he's made posts on Facebook dogging the MCU. So let's not come on, Nick. Let's be transparent with everybody here. You know
Yeah.
you don't like the MCU.
Okay. Well, what is your issue like problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I think my main thing is the main issue I had with it, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, those movies are good. The Thor movies are good. I just feel like there was probably like a 4-5 year time period where the movies were slowly declining. I feel like they were becoming too cheesy, too frat bro-ish. I just feel like the acting was just really declining. I feel like they were just relying on, hey, look at this character fighting this character, look at this fight scene, look at all the stuff we're doing, And I feel like the past 2 years really with the TV shows and the newer movies really show that. In my opinion. That's my main issue with the MCU. I feel like Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxies, the first few movies were really good. The first Avengers movie is one of my top 50 movies of all time. But the Infinity War and those other movies, I'm not a huge fan of. I just feel like the MCU peaked probably 5-6 years ago. I just feel like they're slowly declining. In my opinion.
Will is on that same ship too.
I will say they
Let's go.
I will say that is
No offense, but I gotta disassociate from your brother.
this as the godfather of movies here, I will disagree with you, Nick, and say
you.
Well, you're wrong. You're wrong.
that
Oh.
that is a wrong. Not only a hot. That's not a hot take. That is a wrong take.
Yeah, that's a wrong turn. Like
The
taking
MCU. Yes, I will say the last 2 years have been rough for the MCU. I will agree with you on that. I will say Thor: Love and Thunder, I think, is the worst MCU movie. But
one.
No, it is. It is.
It is.
But No Way Home. Besides, okay, you can hate on No Way Home. You can say it has a lazy setup, but Multiverse of Madness retroactively makes that setup make sense because it shows how arrogant Doctor Strange was. Because people make the comment that the reason No Way Home has a lazy setup because no way Doctor Strange would do that for a teenager, like all this stuff. But if you watch Multiverse of Madness, you see how arrogant Doctor Strange is, and that's the whole point of Multiverse of Madness is him learning that he's not the greatest wizard. You know, he's got ego issues, and like, so I feel like,
happy.
Yeah, I feel like Multiverse of Madness just makes No Way Home better because it takes away that complaint that people had when No Way Home came out about its lazy setup. And yes, the setup could have been written better. There should have been more padding in the writing with how they brought in everybody. But overall, No Way Home will go down as one of like the biggest landmark movies of all time. Like it,
yeah,
Absolutely.
The hard work they had to do Toby, bring in Andrew, bring in William Dafoe back as Green Goblin, and all the other ones. Like, I don't think people realize how hard that is to, because like even like because like I guess you'd call me. I mean, some people, you know, being a film major, call me pretentious or whatever.
Oh, you are. You are.
I am not pretentious at all. But what I see is that is great movie making and that is great writing and how they incorporate it all. Because think about it, those are three different universes, and they all come together so cohesively. They all fit with each other. They all have great rapport with each other, and just everything about No Way Home, I think, is an accomplishment, and it should be celebrated forever like that. And I think the same with Endgame. I think the MCU peaked with Endgame, and then it peaked again with No Way Home, because Endgame and No Way Home both take all these characters. No Way Home is a little more impressive because it took different universes, different tones, and made it work all cohesively. But because Endgame, it's the same tone, but Endgame took all these Marvel characters and ended a 10-year run, over 10 years. It was 11 years at that point. 11-year run of movies, the best, most perfect way they can. And I don't think people who aren't into writing films and making films realize how hard that has to be to make all these characters come together and to close off 11 years of movies. Like that should be respected and cherished forever. And I don't see how, Nick, you think Endgame.
Well, hot take actually. Hot take.
Not again.
Uh-oh.
First off, in my opinion, it is impressive, but they had source material already to base it on. It wasn't like these characters they just sat down one day and just created all these characters, all these universes in one afternoon. They had source material to base it on, and and like those movies are impressive because of that. But at the same time, this idea of bringing characters together has been around ever since like media has really existed, and I will agree with you. It is impressive, but the thing is, they still had source material to base it on. They already had that clutch to go on. It's not like these guys went to a studio and just made up Iron Man like 5 years ago. Iron Man has been around since the 60s. All these storylines have been around for like the past 20 years. And it's one of those things. It is impressive, but it's only impressive because these stories already existed.
Right.
Okay,
Right,
but you can also argue here that it is similarly hard to adapt something as it is to create something.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's not the same, but it's very similar to like how taking a book like you were talking about with Stephen King books, bringing those to like the silver screen, the big screen. Like the stories are there, but it's just as equally hard to execute them right. You have to have a good director with a good vision, good writing, and the actors. You have to have Robert Downey Jr. was made. He was literally bred to be Tony Stark. There was no better option than Robert Downey Jr. He was born to play that role. It takes execution from the actors, from writing, from the director, from every person working on that film, on these films, to make it that good, to make it as good as they've all been. Yes, some fall shorter than others, but for the most part, like Marvel really hasn't like lost too much of a step like in the last like 12, 13, 15 years now. It's been 15 years. In the last 15 years, they've had their formula, they've done it, they've done it to a very successful point, and they've been doing great so far, and they want to keep building on it for who knows how long, until Marvel can just sucker it out for as long as they can.
Yeah, I feel like history is just repeating itself because it's just like when phases 1, 2, and 3 all came together for Marvel. People didn't think Iron Man 2 and 3 were incredible movies. People didn't like the first and second Guardians, but that's arguable. And then there was other movies, and the Thor movies didn't have good reception, but because Infinity War and Endgame were so good, people forgave it.
Right, and
Yeah,
and
They
also
brought
with
it
like
home.
yeah,
right, yeah, and even with like movies that do like very bad, like Love and Thunder, people will forgive like The Dark World for being, you know what? Looking at this now, The Dark World is not as bad as this. Like, so yeah, it just depends on what like what your take on a movie is. It really does. Like, and
yeah.
I agree with that completely because before this, I said The Dark World was my least favorite MCU movie, and then I watched Love and Thunder, and I was like, oh no, oh no. I was like, The Dark World is actually a pretty good movie if we're putting it to Love and Thunder. I don't know
until
who.
yeah,
I don't know
I
who
would
we
have
let
to.
Taika Waititi off the leash on that movie, but they should have really reined him in.
And
They
even
needed
Chris Hemsworth, like I read earlier today, like Chris Hemsworth went on to say like they got lost in the silliness, they got lost in like the wonder, like the fun times. Like it could have been more serious, it could have been better. I think even Chris Hemsworth's like, you know what, we could have
Too silly. Yeah.
Well,
done
like,
a lot better.
How do you waste Christian Bale as a
well,
villain?
Christian Bale
How do you?
We'll,
Yeah.
really good. Christian Bale
say-
seems really good.
we'll say
But-
that Christian Bale was like one of the better parts of that movie. He did a great job as Gore. Granted, we could have seen a lot more action with him, more fight scenes, but no, Christian Bale as Gore was great for sure.
Yeah, Christian Bale, he wasn't really comic book Gore, but he was still his own version of Gore that was still
Definitely.
like very impressive.
I think I read somewhere that he had finished filming another movie before Love and Thunder, and he had lost a lot of weight for it, so he didn't really bulk up in time. So they just went another route, and I thought it worked.
Yeah, it passed for me.
Ben's
Yeah.
like, who the fuck didn't like Guardians? Like, I don't know. Well, apparently Nick over here doesn't like Guardians 2 or 3.
I like him. I like him, but again, my whole thing with Marvel was like, there's probably around a dozen Marvel movies I like. There's probably around a dozen Marvel movies I like. My thing is again, going back to what I said originally, they peaked a while back. They've been declining ever since. And one aspect I see is they're becoming too funny. I feel like hopefully Love and Thunder was the peak of that funniness. One of my biggest issues with that is like, it was funny, then it was scary. It was funny, then it was scary. There was a scene where Thor was doing something stupid. Then there was a scene where Christian Bale was making a kid cry. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Balance the tones. Yeah, no, me and
Right.
Leon definitely talked about this before.
But I feel like the earlier MCU films had that nice balance. Then
Yeah.
I feel like down the road they started to become not a parody of themselves, but I feel like if they took a certain direction, they would have eventually become a self-parody of of Thor, of Iron Man, of the Hulk, and all that.
Yeah, because it did get out of hand with some of these new school directors and writers. And honestly, I still believe like everything we're seeing in 4, 5, 6 is just a mirror of 1, 2, and 3. Because
Well,
it's just like the peak of those what do you call it, the Infinity Saga? Like the peak of those movies were mostly Avengers Age of Ultron and the first Avengers movie.
Right, but we still gotta remember. You gotta remember, like people that were in the beginning of like phase 1 or even 2, will be like they're not gonna want to do this as much anymore. Like it's been 10+ years. They're gonna want to break from this. I mean, so we have to start fresh. We're gonna have to introduce new characters and bring like the whole new superhero origins, as well as like continuing some newer characters still. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to like start off again, like no matter what. Like it can't be like oh, okay, we're gonna sped out like Iron Man 5 and 6. Oh, and another Captain America with both Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson as Captain Americas. What?
Yeah.
No. They have to evolve. They have to change with the times. They have to grow with new characters. As much as we want older characters and older actors to stay with us, we can't always have that.
Yeah, you got characters that people are complaining about now, and the same way that they complain about characters introductions back then, because some people actually didn't like the first Iron Man, and then the most popular character line of movies is probably Captain America, because Civil War and Winter Soldier were all hits, and people kind of cared about the first Captain America, but the rest of phase 1, 2, and 3, people had something bad to say. And it's just like 4, 5, and 6 is not significantly that much different.
No, I mean, it's all a matter like what people prefer. Like some people prefer like a thriller, like The Winter Soldier, which is definitely like one of the best Marvel movies for sure. Or some people prefer like a funny romp adventure like Ragnarok, or darker tone like Black Widow, or something off the wall like Guardians. It just depends on what the viewer prefers, what they want to watch, what kind of story they want to watch. It just depends on what they prefer and what they think is garbage, which could be wrong.
And honestly, just wait till like the first Avengers movies of phase 4, 5, and 6 to come around, and a lot of people's opinions are going to change.
Oh Lord, yeah, because we're not going to have the original Avengers. We're going to be like, who's going to be a part of the Avengers? Who's going to lead them? Who's the bad guy? It says it in the title. For Lord's sakes.
We don't know if we're going to have Kang anymore, though.
Well, we're going to have a Kang. We may not have Kang the Conqueror. But still,
and remember, Secret Wars comes first, so we're potentially getting a part
Kang
1.
Dynasty coming first. Secret Wars will come after.
Kang Dynasty was now pushed back, and they're thinking about doing like Secret Wars 1 and 2.
I haven't. I'm gonna double check you on that, Deontay. So
we need a fact checker in the comments section.
Exactly, Ben, fact checked us.
The MCU right now is kind of in flux because of the whole Jonathan Majors situation.
Well, hopefully, I hope that I'm sure he's that. I don't know. I'm hopefully it doesn't like get too out of hand, or like he'll be okay. But if that is true, then man. But we digress.
Yeah, last thing I'll say about that is just that we got Miss Marvel and Echo and Loki season 2 and Secret Invasion, and people have complaints about that. At the very least, next year will go even harder. So you can't. I wouldn't rule out phases 4, 5, and 6. Well, I wouldn't rule out phase 5 just yet, because in a couple of weeks, Secret Invasion could be like the greatest show that we've all watched.
Right, yeah, because we've only had like 2 movies, Quantumania and Guardians, and out of the 2, Guardians is way better than Quantumania, as much as I love Ant-Man and the Wasp, because we only had the 2 movies. And Secret Invasion, that'll probably be similar to like the Winter Soldier was, like very much a thriller, very much spy, espionage. So yeah, so hopefully it just doesn't help that we have less content, because we're only getting 3 movies and supposedly 3 shows this year, and we don't know how much more we're getting the next year. So it just, because we got like 4 or 5 shows this last year, so it just as I understand why Kevin Feige was like, we're not gonna roll out as much shows this year. We want to keep people in in suspense. I can understand it, but also it doesn't help because we don't have as much content to base like how the phase is continuing, how it's doing, how it's hopefully getting better.
Yeah, I'll make a wager that with these 3 remaining shows of 2023 and one final movie, that a lot of people's opinions about Phase 5 are going to change quick. So
I'm sure.
if that's true, then
I'm
I
really
want some
excited,
money from you
actually.
guys.
Right. I'm actually excited for the Marvels, like weirdly. And I liked Captain Marvel, but it was definitely not one of my favorite movies. But I'm actually really excited for the Marvels. I think it's because it's not just Brie Larson, it's also Teyonah Parris as Monica, and of course Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, who was great in her series last year.
Yeah, they people have a problem with that. I bet they won't complain about Secret Invasion. I bet they
hell
won't complain about Loki season 2. So
next week,
Phase 5 is
week.
going to have some bangers. So
Well, let's rein this MCU talk and let's go to the Sony Spider-Verse again.
Yeah.
This is our fault. Like, you have 2 comic nerds talking about Spider-Man.
Yeah, we're on the movie. This is the movie.
We know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is my first time. I'm very sorry for
we're
getting out of
Godfather.
hand.
You're talking to the Godfather here, but anyway.
I know I am. I stay silent during like the whole like Boogeyman Stephen King thing. But
No, you're good. You're good.
Talking.
We need to get into Across the Spider-Verse because I want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cameron, so much we got. Nick, you basically said it's gonna hold up out of all of these Marvel movies.
Yeah, his hot take was it's the best.
Deontay, please, Deontay or Godfather, please carry us further before we get carried away with Nick again.
Real quick, Nick, what grade would you give it?
Honestly, an A. Like, I would give both of the Spider-Verse movies a solid A.
A plus. Like,
Amen.
10 out of 10.
And then Ben Stewart, here he comes.
All right, so Nick, when it comes to that,
check first. Okay.
Nick will be leaving here in a minute, so before we get Deontay's thoughts on Across the Spider-Verse, let's get Nick's thoughts here on so you rank this as a top Marvel. Where do you rank this in your Spider-Man ranking? Like, if you were to rank the Spider-Man movies, what is your ranking?
See, okay, so when it comes to the Spider-Man movies, ever since the first Spider-Verse movie came out, I've created separate rankings for both the live action and the animated movies because they're so different, in my opinion, in terms of tone and quality and storytelling. I'm not going to compare the 2 Spider-Verse movies to the original Spider-Man movies. So right now, I'm having a separate ranking for both of them.
Okay.
Well,
let's rank
movies.
The answer is more complicated than you would like it to be.
Okay, let's hear your ranking of the Spider-Man movies live actions. Like, what are your top ones? You don't have to rank all of them. You don't have to rank all of them.
Let me pull up
your top 3 Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. We won't make you have to go through and rank all of them.
Let me pull up my list real quick here. Let me pull up my list.
Oh, Lord.
He said, let me pull up Letterboxd.
While you're doing that, who's your favorite Spider-Man at least?
My favorite Spider-Man. Honestly,
out of the live actions,
I'm gonna go with Toby. Out of the live actions, Toby's my favorite. I grew up with Toby, and he's just such an iconic Spider-Man, in my opinion.
I grew up with Toby too, but no, you go on.
So, my favorite Spider-Man movies, my top 3, if you will. Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is my favorite. The Amazing Spider-Man is number 2. And Spider-Man 2 is my 3rd favorite. Those are my favorite, top 3 Spider-Man movies of all time. For live action.
Nick, you surprise me with everything that comes out of your mouth.
Every time.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man over Spider-Man 2.
Well, to be fair, The Amazing Spider-Man was better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, but
exactly.
still,
I
Spider-Man.
disagree. I think The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is better than The Amazing Spider-Man.
But hear me out. Spider-Man 3 has Venom in it. And Venom,
Yeah,
but it's done so
and they got
poorly.
Eric Foreman to be his host, and he was just a whiny little just baby.
It was rushed.
but hear me out.
was
It
done
has
so
Venom
poorly.
in it. Venom makes that movie so good. Venom makes
Yeah,
that
he
movie so
does.
good.
You were crazy.
But
You were okay, Nick.
He's right. You
Spider-Man
are
3
crazy.
is really good though. It was a great
It is.
execution.
Spider-Man was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spider-Man 3. This is my okay. Nick, you were crazy. Venom.
You're right. He is nuts.
Real quick, before you say that, the only reason why you guys hate it is because other people tell you it's not good. So therefore, you follow their opinions on it.
No. Listen here, Nick. When did that movie come out? 2007?
2007.
Okay,
2007.
I was 8 or 9.
I'll still watch it to this very day.
I mean,
I was 8 or
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I was 8 or 9 years old when that movie came out. I went and saw it in theaters with my dad. I was so excited. I loved the first two. I didn't like that movie when I was 8 or 9.
Okay,
And
I liked it when I was 8 or 9. Like,
I rewatched it. Still didn't like it. Nobody told me that Spider-Man 3 was a bad movie. I grew up, everybody loved it around me. I was one of the only people that did not like it, and it is my least favorite Spider-Man movie of all time.
Honestly, no. I mean, I like it. I mean, it's not my favorite. Like, especially not out of the 3 Tobey Maguires and not out of all of them. No. I mean, I'll watch it, but I'll either fast forward or cringe whenever he does the dance. Like, outside, like, no, you don't need, why? But no.
Spider-Man 3 is, and not only that, but it's abomination because Sam Raimi himself was forced. They forced Sam Raimi to put Venom in there. Sam Raimi went on. Sam Raimi did not even like Venom.
Aubrey Rod, he wanted to do Venom. He wanted Venom to be in this movie. The part of the problem was they did too many villains. They had Sandman, they had Harry, who wasn't a villain by the end, but they killed him, and then they had Eric Foreman as Venom, who was a whiny little.
Yes.
Nick, you as a aspiring filmmaker like me and Deontay here, and I don't know about Cameron. Cameron, are you an aspiring filmmaker?
Possibly. I'm probably more on the writer end than on the directorial, but I definitely want to get in the business.
Okay, so out of all these people here, you're going to tell me that the movie that was very studio made, they forced the director to incorporate a whole villain plot he did not want to, is your favorite Spider-Man movie?
It is, yeah. I will say that. I will say that.
Even though the director that directed it does not like that movie. Because they forced him.
Like the thing is, a lot of directors don't like their own movies. That's not like a rare thing. You're acting like him not liking that movie is a rare thing. It's not. It's pretty common, actually.
How are you friends with him?
I'm friends with him now.
Nick has the hottest takes, and you know what? He keeps this show. I will say, Nick, he keeps this show on its toes because, like, I come in here with
also real quick, another hot take about Sam Raimi. Another hot take about Sam Raimi.
Best director ever.
Best director. One of them. His best movie, his best superhero movie is Darkman. That's his best superhero movie, in my opinion.
I haven't seen Darkman, so I can't comment.
Neither have I, but no, his best superhero movie is Spider-Man 2.
Nope. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh my gosh.
It goes 3-2-1 for me. I'm sorry.
You guys are crazy.
Dude.
Yeah, it goes 3-2-1 for me. So yeah.
No, out of the 3, it is 2-1-3 at the bottom.
I could probably do 2-3. Well, nah.
Here, I'll show you guys, okay?
Actually, I don't like number 2 that well.
What?
I don't like number 2
me?
that well.
You don't like number... Who are
I don't
you?
like it.
Okay.
Dude.
Here
I'm not a Doc
Here
Ock.
it goes, guys. It goes 2, 1, 3. You can't even see my hand. That's how low it is.
He's right. He's absolutely right. I don't even know you anymore. Dude.
I got to get rid of Doc Ock. He's my
Alfred
least favorite
Molina
Spider-Man.
Alfred Molina is Doc Ock.
He was great.
I don't.
He was
one of
not
the
the casting.
in
Not
Marvel
the
history.
casting. The writing for it. I didn't
Well,
like it. I didn't.
Oh
he's
my
one of the greatest
god!
villains in comic book movie history.
What am I exactly?
In comic books itself, he sucks. In animated series, he sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. We're the film. This is the film show.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
One-
This is the film show.
I like Alfred Molina, but the way that they handled him was kind of just like mid. It was mid sauce for me.
Well,
I'm not
I
hearing.
just feel like Doc Ock, like you were saying, he's a pretty mid villain to begin with.
Yeah,
Like the thing, a lot of Spider-Man villains are just very 1D characters.
yeah.
They're just like like a lot of them are just like an animal, or they have like some sort of weird superpower, like the Sandman, and that's it. That's
Okay.
it. You can't get a lot out of these characters, really.
But you like the writing of Venom with Topher Grace.
I do.
I think people's complaints was Topher. I don't think
Well,
the
not
Venom.
just not
it
just
was
Topher
just
Grace,
Topher.
but also just like how they tried to make it like more angsty, just like how they tried to make Toby a little bit more like edgy, like because of the Venom suit, and just like no.
They handled Venom well. Venom was straight out the comic book, but they.
I mean, they did a fairly good job with. I mean, the look of Venom and just his powers, but just I don't know. I feel like they could have done a better casting choice than I love Topher, I do, but I don't think he was made to be a Venom.
Yeah, Venom was great. Topher Grace's Eddie Brock was people's complaints.
Hold on.
That's what that should have been for.
Deontay, I'm going to ask you real quick, and please let this be my answer for you. Tom Hardy or Topher Grace?
I hate both of them.
What is wrong?
I hate both of them because Tom Hardy he should be in a superhuman or he could be a villain or like a street level thug. He could be any of that, but Tom Hardy is Eddie Brock.
I will say Tom Hardy plays Eddie Brock as Tom Hardy.
I see Tom Hardy with the Venom symbiote. That's all I see.
Yeah, he's very Tom Hardy in that movie. He doesn't really put on a different persona for Eddie Brock. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
but he still is better. Topher Grace is an abomination. Venom. All right.
Thank you, Godfather.
I'll settle for that too because I didn't like Eddie Brock in any iteration of him besides comic books.
And you're telling me, and I can't believe this, you're telling me, Nick, that you like the Venom character over Willem Dafoe, the king of himself, as Green Goblin.
I do.
What?
I will say that.
Are you out of your mind?
Are you being a troll right now? Like, are you trolling? Like,
I think he is. He's just doing this to piss us off.
I'm not being a troll.
You have to be trolling.
Willem Dafoe, he's a great actor. He did a great job as Green Goblin, as Norman Osborn, playing the dichotomy of Jekyll and Hyde, and even surpassed like the original movie, his original role when he came back for No Way Home, and did all of his freaking stunts himself. That's the only way he would come back, and he did them all, and he did a freaking fantastic job.
Yeah,
the Green Goblin is one of the top 3 Spider-Man movie villains of all time, and comic villains, but he's below Venom.
Why do you like Venom so much? Topher Grace Venom. Let's before you leave, you cannot leave this podcast. I'm gonna force you to not leave until you.
I am hovering over the leave studio button right now.
You are. You know what? You are arrested. You are stuck here.
Thank you, Ben. He's agreeing with us, Jacob. Ben Stewart is agreeing with us, like on the writing end. Like, thank God, someone here has sense.
Yeah.
How do you not like? How do you justify Venom?
Wait, so real quick, are you asking me about Venom like right now, or like what are you asking me about specifically?
I'm asking you about Venom as he is portrayed in Spider-Man 3.
Like, I just like.
What do you like
about him? Why do you think he's better than Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin? Doc Ock is Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. I mean,
right? Why is he your favorite?
Even Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman.
I don't know if his ranking kind of constitutes the characters. I think he's talking about the movies as a whole.
Spider-Man 3.
I'm talking about the movies as a whole. I'm talking about the movies.
Well, no, Nick, you just said that you said earlier that Venom made Spider-Man 3 why it was great. You said Venom made the movie great. You said that.
Venom.
Oh.
I think the thing I liked about Venom was the more angsty way he was portrayed, the more, I guess, whiny way he was portrayed. That's what I liked about him. That's what I liked about him. Like the scene of him in the church praying to God to kill Peter Parker. That is the most iconic Spider-Man scene of all time, in my opinion. Of all time. Of all
You
time.
know-
The more angsty tone of that movie is what made it good, in my opinion.
You know, knowing you and your taste in movies, it does make sense.
I'm sorry, I have a good taste in
Uh-oh.
movies.
That's not even a roast. Like I'm just being on. Like I know your taste in movies kind of well now, and knowing your taste in movies, I could see why Spider-Man 3 is your favorite. I could honestly see. It's still my least favorite, and I think it's not good at all. And the first two Spider-Man movies, it's a disrespectful way to end the trilogy, because if you watch the first Spider-Man movie, okay, they retcon in Spider-Man 3. Yeah, what Ben said. But anyway, they retcon in Spider-Man 3, they retcon Uncle Ben's killer to be Sandman, right?
Yeah.
In the first Spider-Man, one of the things that turns Toby to becoming Spider-Man is that he chases down Uncle Ben's killer, and he accidentally is involved, and he dies. He accidentally kills him in a way, and that helps him become the hero he is. And then, so for them to go in not the second movie, but for them to go 2 movies later and to retcon that just to fit their story is disrespectful to the whole arc of Toby. It's undermining, cutting the arc.
I will kind of like say that I didn't mind like that specific part, because we never really saw like Uncle Ben like get shot and killed. So I can kind of see like I'm not disagreeing with you on anything else, but just like that one little aspect, just like I didn't mind, because I prefer Sandman over Venom in that movie, but it is a little bit like with how the movie ended, how the trilogy ended, but still like I didn't mind like the Sandman bits, because I like Sandman way more than Venom in that movie.
I liked them both. That combo was beautiful to me. The way that they could squeeze in Sandman's origin and then squeeze in like the symbiote arriving to Earth and finding a host, and it went from Peter to Eddie in one movie. Like that was really well handled. Like even if that was a screw up and not intended by Sam Raimi, that was really well handled.
Right.
I don't like Harry's Goblin though.
Yeah. Wasn't a fan of Harry's Goblin either.
Nick,
it was cool, but not. Yeah.
Let's say to Nick.
Do you have any more? Do you have any more questions for me, Jacob?
I do not. You can freely go, because honestly, Nick, I can't look at you right now.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
As the Godfather, as the Godfather, you have my blessing to leave.
Let me fix that real quick for you. There we go. That's better.
He is gone.
That's better.
There you go.
But
there you go.
Anyway, again, thank you, Jacob, for having me on here. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait for next week's episode. You guys have a good night.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You too, Nick.
Thanks for coming out, bro.
Man, that guy, Jesus. And you and I need to talk, like seriously, man, a lot.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 is definitely up there. I won't put it above. Well, actually, I really don't have a choice as far as entertainment value goes. It's top 3 and it's like number 1. But story, I'll put it below the first Spider-Man, and 2 is last.
Okay, if I have to, it'll just take a quick second, Jacob. But if I were to rank every Spider-Man movie live action, I would go from the top: No Way Home, Spider-Man 2, Far From Home, Homecoming, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 1, Amazing 2, and Spider-Man 3.
That's odd. That's an odd ranking, but okay. Yeah.
I know. I just
You put the
tried to think
amazing.
of
You put the Amazing Spider-Man over the first Spider-Man.
a little because I liked like I do love like the original Spider-Man movie for sure. I do, but I liked how like they stuck more to like the roots. Like he was a kid, he was in high school, like throughout the entire movie, and just like how they stuck to the science of it. Like they more true to the comics, like how his webbing, like it wasn't like in him, like he actually had to make his webbing, and just how they stuck. They went more like the scientific route because Peter Parker is first and foremost he's a scientist. He has a passion for science. That's how he kind of gets into being. That helps him become Spider-Man. Like it helps him be a better Spider-Man. Like his passion for science, like how he learns and adapts for sure, and just also like because and also we get Gwen Stacy too because Gwen was his first love. Like Gwen was the first girl that he like went out with and like he loved. Like a lot of people don't. Well, before they didn't remember, but now they probably know more. But yeah, like Gwen was his first love until she died, which which I will say they did a really good job of like Gwen dying and amazing too.
All right. So, well, since we're ranking here, Deontay, what's your ranking of the live action?
Nice.
Let's see. Oh, so my first three is definitely going to be the Tom Holland. Well, actually, what was the very first Spider-Man? Was it Homecoming?
Out of Tom Holland's, yeah.
Yeah, the Tom Holland. Yeah. Okay, so I'll start with live action is No Way Home. It's going to be number one for me. Number two would be Far From Home because Mysterio is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, and that was really well handled.
Because of that.
Yeah. So Homecoming would be a little bit further down the list. I would say my number three would be it'd probably be Spider-Man 3. And then well actually no, let me be nice. It's the first Spider-Man, then Spider-Man 3, and then Spider-Man 2, and then the Amazing Spider-Man.
And then Amazing Spider-Man 2.
See which one was better out of those two. Which one?
It's mixed. It depends on like which one.
Which ones did Gwen Stacy die in? Was it 2?
Yeah. 2.
Okay, so 2 comes before the first one. So I'll put it in that order.
Okay.
All
Also,
right.
I will take Spider-Man 1 over Spider-Man 3. It's not the correct answer, but it's suitable.
Yeah, it's fair enough for me.
Ben, you're listening. We need to have you watch Spider-Man 2 again. Like seriously.
My ranking would be. Also, before I rank this, I want to say I love the love for Far From Home. I feel like I'm always on an island when I talk about Far From Home. I love Far From Home, and I think a lot of people do not like it, and they put him in the bottom tier MCU, bottom tier Spider-Man. But I love Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I think he's one of the better MCU villains.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal was a great Mysterio.
All the illusion sequences are gorgeous.
Yeah. Ben was saying the exact same thing.
And Mysterio, the way they incorporate him in the story into the MCU, because obviously it's not completely comic accurate, of course, but like the way they were able to incorporate him was smart. The way they did it, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that.
With my ranking, if I had to rank the live action, mine is No Way Home 1. Shoot. I'm gonna go Spider-Man.
Far From Home.
No, I'm gonna go the first. No, I'm gonna go the second Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go Spider-Man 1 at 3, and then Far From Home, and then. But all those 4 right there, all those 4, they're very close together in quality for me. They're very close together, those 4. And then What else I got?
You
Homecoming.
got, yeah,
Okay, Homecoming would be
And
there.
the Amazings.
And
and
then
both the Andy
Amazing
Garfield.
Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man 3 is my least favorite.
Okay. That's understandable, yeah. And I will always say, like, whenever someone asks me, or like whenever I ask someone like who's their favorite Spider-Man, I will always say that Tobey Maguire plays the best Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield plays the best Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
and Tom Holland plays the perfect blend of both. Which
They're
is
all
why he's
great.
my favorite. They all are. They really all are.
Mm-hmm.
They all
I just
are
feel
great.
really bad because Andy's villains did so dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, because they had great actors and had great villains. They just could have done a lot better with them, especially with like Jamie Foxx. But it's a good thing he got that new like
That
touch at like
new,
in No Way
yeah.
Home.
I was like, whose idea was this to completely disrespect Lizard
Like,
and Electro like that? Like, whose idea?
yeah, if I know Deontay has it, but if anyone here like watching has seen like the footage for Spider-Man 2, like the game, that's what they should have made Lizard look like, a beast, a dinosaur. He just looks. That's what we should have gotten for a Lizard.
Yeah, he
I
was
will say
terrifying.
the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I was just saying this earlier to a few people that I went and saw Across the Spider-Verse with. It has some of the best Spider-Man scenes of all time, and one of the worst Spider-Man movies. That's how I rate that movie, because the Gwen Stacy death scene is one of the best Spider-Man scenes in any Spider-Man movie of all time. And the
Agreed.
scene where Electro is about to electrocute the stairs, and it's slow motions when he's shooting his web, and it shows his web shooting out, that whole slow motion sequence on the stairs in Times Square with
Yeah.
when everybody's about to touch the rails and he saves everybody. Those two scenes are two of the best Spider-Man scenes in any Spider-Man movie of all.
I can agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
And the scene where he, I think, yeah, it's where he lands on the building and looks at himself in the reflection. I think that's the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
with
that's right after that
the black
one,
suit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that we see it?
It's the newer suit, or what? Not the black suit, but like it's his, because the second one, the newer suit, is when he lands on it.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, and also like the music that music is like a huge part of films, and like I really liked like the tone, like the music from Amazing Spider-Man 2, especially like the music that they made like for Electro, like just like the chilling like the build up of and the rise of like the music whenever he would be on, and just killing people. I really like the music from Amazing 2.
And we won't talk about Goblin because that was kind of atrocious too.
Yeah, they got a great actor to play him. They just didn't do him right.
Yeah, no. I preferred Harry's Goblin over Dan DeHaan's Goblin.
Right.
All right, so now let's get to Deontay. Your thoughts on Across the Spider-Verse, because we haven't gotten to you yet.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and get that one out the way. Across the Spider-Verse was mind-blowing. So yeah, shout out to Blake Hickman over at Comically Inclined for allowing me to see Into the Spider-Verse like just 30 minutes prior to the movie. Got my mind blown by that. Definitely one of the top animated movies of all time. And then I went and saw the sequel, and it's just like the fact that this movie won up the first one is just like, whoa.
Exactly.
Sony had no business making a movie this hard, because it's just like the soundtrack for both movies have been back-to-back bangers, and the score in the background just fits every scene so fluidly, and it's just like Miles could be casually swinging around, or he's having like a romantic moment with Spider-Gwen, and the background music just seems to just fit it. And then
oh yeah,
they invested so much time into each individual character's story and like the people that surround them. So they started with Miles and developing his conversation with his mom and dad. You saw the tension between that when he got grounded, and then you saw his rapport with his own family when they had that party, and how what do you call it, continuity the fact that everybody's just like rest in peace, Aaron, whatever his name is, that played Prowler, and everybody showed up just to honor him, and the way that they handled that was cool. And then they moved on to Gwen's family and why she couldn't even go back to her Earth anymore because of her relationship with her dad. They put so much care into writing all of that, and it's
right. I was really surprised that they opened up with like Gwen and like actually seeing what happens between her and her father, and I'm so glad that they did, because that just makes me like made me want to like actually care about her way more than I already did.
Exactly. And it's just like you want the romance between Miles and Gwen so bad, but they
want the romance.
They write it so smooth that it's just like I want you guys to brace yourselves, because Miles going to get mad at her in the middle of the movie, and their relationship's going to go
with good reason. I don't blame him. Like, I was like a little bit like iffy, mad. Like I was definitely like a little bit pissed at Gwen, but more so at Miguel, because he was just an ass.
Yeah, he was being a huge dude. So that's like my favorite Spider-Man, and that guy ended up getting knocked down a few pegs after seeing this movie.
So what would you give it?
I would give it an A+.
Okay. So
I'll give Into the Spider-Verse an A, and then Across the Spider-Verse A+.
Here's my thoughts on it. Into the Spider-Verse, when I first watched it in theaters, I really liked it, but I wasn't huge on it. I gave it like an A when I watched it, and then when I rewatched it a few years back, I gave it it's an A+ for me now, and it's easily I put it probably in my top 100 favorite movies of all time, probably, but top 50 even maybe. And then Across the Spider-Verse, for right now, I'm giving it an A, just because the story is not finished. And if they land beyond the Spider-Verse, if they land the plane, like if they pull it off and land the plane, then Across the Spider-Verse will get an A+. But I feel like my only issue with Across the Spider-Verse is, one thing, I love the score. The score is better in this one than it is in Into the Spider-Verse, I think.
Absolutely.
And you feel it more. And also, they do less needle drops in this one, if you notice, than Into the Spider-Verse. Like, it has a whole soundtrack by Metro Boomin, but only like three songs are in there. They don't incorporate actual music in this one as they did Into the Spider-Verse. It's more score in this one, which I actually appreciated. And I think the animation is better in this one. I think they did it just a little bit better, because
cleaner, sleeker.
It's everything. You feel the gravity of the characters more too. Like, there's foreground and there's background, and just the way they incorporated all the different animation styles. And you can feel, I feel like the fights, you can feel like the fights, you actually feel the fights. Like, for me, in animation, it's hard for me to get into fights because, like, it's animation, so there's not gravity to it really. But the way they did the animation in this, the way they had the characters in the foreground and the background, they were able to add weight and gravity to the fights, where you actually felt like, oh, there are punches being thrown. This is happening. And the whole, when Miles is escaping from the whole Spider Society, I think it is. That whole scene where Miguel's just like endlessly chasing him and will not stop, and Miles just keeps on going and like keeps crawling up that thing. That was one beautiful piece. And Miguel, just Spider-Man 2099, Oscar Isaac, perfect casting for the voice of that. Absolutely amazing. And apparently, I'm not a big animation guy, so yeah, I need to get more into the animation. But yeah,
definitely
need the Oscar Isaac as Miguel, Spider-Man 2099, great, loved it. Even loved where he almost bit a dude's head, basically.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that scene before he got caught with the helicopter flash when they shine on. I love that, and actually, I really love how Miles and Gwen there's tension there. Because in the first movie, there's not really tension. It's just like a meet cute type situation. In this, there's actually tension in the relationship, and you kind of feel for Miles because he was kind of left alone, and then he hears, and then Spider-Punk's kind of been shacking up with Gwen, and then it's like
we're just hanging out with him. We don't know what's going on, like really going on down there.
Yeah,
and Miles doesn't know this at all, so it's just like,
True,
wait, you
yeah.
toothbrushes at his house?
yeah,
Yeah.
toothbrush, like the way Miles, I liked Miles more in this one. I think maybe because he's more grown up, so maybe I can relate to him more. And I love how he, even though he knows it's not the right thing, I love how he basically takes his destiny into his own hands. Is like, no, I'm not just going to let somebody I love die just because you think it's right. Like, he's willing to, like, basically destroy the whole multiverse to save his dad. Like,
I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, if he, like, I kind of agree with like what Miles is like going for, like screw destiny. Like, if I know, like, my father is like if I were Miles, like, if I know my father was like in risk of dying, I would do everything in my power to save him. Like, who says I have to let him die? Like, who are you to say that?
I love that commentary on it too. I love kind of the self-awareness of it. Like, you know, Spider-Man always has somebody he loves dies. I love how they kind of they're poking fun at it while also showing how
serious
vital
the job is.
Yeah, how vital and important it is to his journey, is to every Spider-Man's journey. How vital that is.
Right, how spread through it is, not just with like like their uncle, but like other loved ones.
And like how Miles is you're gonna judge Wanda for killing her kid. That's a little different, but but yeah, the only issue I have with it is when it ended, I felt a little air come out of the balloon. Like, I felt like I was scared the last 30 minutes of it ending. I knew it was going to end on a cliffhanger because I knew it was only part one. But I still was like, okay, when are they going to end it? I was like, please don't end on something bad. Please don't. And like the way they ended it was good, where you see, you know, he's the Prowler in a different universe. He's facing his basically his evil self.
Right.
But like, I like movies to be complete. So that's why I give it an A right now, is just because I want to see the whole story. And if I want, like, this complaint will be completely erased if they nail the landing with Beyond the Spider-Verse. Completely erased.
Which I can't imagine they wouldn't. I mean, like, with how big of a success the first one was and how huge this Across the Spider-Verse is now, I can't see them like it not getting the bag like with Beyond the Spider-Verse because they haven't really like shown all their cards. Like, we know like the setup, like save Miles from Earth 42, save his dad from the Spot, but we don't really know too much else. Like, we don't know what other spiders, because we know we're gonna see more spiders. We're bringing back Noir, Ham, Penny, but we don't. For all we know, they could be bringing more spiders. They could be bringing in Madam Web because she's a huge part of the Spider-Verse. So we don't know who all else is gonna be in this movie.
Yeah, I'm banking on that to be her appearance in like the third film,
and just like put Miguel in his place. Like, please,
she will.
Madam Web, whoop this boy.
Teach him a lesson.
And also, another issue I had with the film that I feel it needs to be addressed. I feel like for what they were doing, them knowing it was a two-parter, I feel like they took a little too much time on the family drama at the beginning, because we don't really see that story arc isn't concluded by the end of the film with his whole family. It's still up in the air. And like I said, if they touch on it in Beyond the Spider-Verse, then
they're definitely going to continue it for sure. Like
that's great.
His family is his most important thing.
The only issue with this movie is if Beyond the Spider-Verse does not close the ship, this movie will be hurt by it, because they leave the conflict between his parents. Because they spend a lot of the movie on family drama in this one. Like you see his mom and dad way more in this one than Into the Spider-Verse, especially his
True.
mom. His mom, especially his mom.
Yeah,
is
I felt. Yeah,
barely
the first
in.
one focused more on like the relationship between Miles and his dad. This one definitely focused a little bit more between him and his mom. And if anything, the third one will focus on just like his relationship with both of them equally. But no, like
I also feel that this, like Into the Spider-Verse, it has a great theme, but it's a theme we've seen before. Like being yourself, taking that jump, not being afraid to take that jump. I feel with Across the Spider-Verse, this one had more complex themes and deeper, richer themes that you had to more think about. And there's morally gray areas here where in some cases you could see Miles not as a villain, but not as necessarily the greatest hero because of what he's doing. And you could
also flip it on Miguel, like he's not a hero, but he's also not a villain either, because he's trying to force his will onto this kid who wants to try and save his father.
You could see Spider-Man 2099 also being a hero in the same sense because of what and I like that morally gray area there, and I like it lives it up to the audience. And honestly, dang it, you guys are bad influences on me. I think I'm gonna give this movie an A+ now. The more I'm thinking about it,
there you go.
I like it. I like it better than Into the Spider-Verse. The more I think about it,
there you go.
Both are A+, and actually, I'll put Across the Spider-Verse in my top 100 of all time now. Because
there you go.
You guys, it's a two-parter, but they're gonna, if they land the ship, it's gonna be easily the best animated trilogy of all time. I think that's out of the question.
Definitely one of the best animated trilogies, and definitely one of the best Marvel trilogies for sure.
No, I think it'll be one of the best film trilogies of any film.
I'm with you on it for sure. And if it lands perfectly, which I can see if it does, and even though it is like part of like a two-parter, like a part of a trilogy, Across the Spider-Verse still works on its own, like standing on its feet, even with the cliffhanger for sure.
Yeah, because they had that brief recap at the beginning that could have, like, I low-key could have skipped Into the Spider-Verse, but I'm glad I didn't.
I'm glad you didn't too, man.
They integrated it so well into the second one. It's just
seamlessly.
And I love seeing Peter B. Parker back.
Yeah, fatherhood too. Like,
oh my god,
that is some great humor for that.
Actually, Peter B. Parker is my favorite part of Into the Spider-Verse. So seeing him back, and I love seeing him back. He's probably, I love Miles, but Peter B. Parker is my favorite character of the Spider-Verse movies, just because in a sad way I can kind of relate to him, especially when he's crying in the shower in the first one. He's all depressed. You can relate to him, and it's so great to see him in Across the Spider-Verse actually see that he got back with Mary Jane, and they were, they're happy, and he has a kid now, and like what Miles told him, Miles inspired him in the first movie, and look what he got because of it.
Right, and now he's hopefully gonna do right by Miles with Gwen and everyone else and find him. Also, I like the little like band, like Gwen's band, like as she called it, like everyone from the first movie, Spider-Punk, India, Spider-Bite. Like, I definitely like who she all got for like to help her for sure. And it'd be nuts if like it was like would be like a spider war between like Gwen Stacy and Miguel O'Hara and like their factions. That'd be kind of nuts.
That'd be kind of scary, because it's just like, man, there's some killers in that
definitely like some more lethal ones, but yeah.
Can we talk about how amazing seeing Donald Glover as the Prowler was?
Dude, I was so freaking shocked. Like,
I made noises in that theater.
Great.
I actually made a noise when I saw him. I was like, oh my god, they're actually, because like it's set up in Homecoming, because he says he has a nephew named Miles.
Right.
So like just for them to I mean, that was 6 years ago now. And to finally see him, I love Donald Glover. So to see him as the Prowler,
right.
Is just like
that was evidence that fan service is necessary sometimes, because
as our friend Danny will always go on to say, like, Donald Glover is basically the inspiration for Miles Morales. Like, he will definitely explain it to anyone, no matter what. But no, just seeing him as Prowler, and it makes me want. Now I just wanted that version of him in the MCU. If they can somehow pull that off and just like drop Donald Glover, this Prowler, into the MCU, that'd be that'd be so great. Just be a
'Cause
great setup for.
He doesn't
Spider-Man
have to do his
4
stunts, so he could just put on the cowl and somebody else would just fight Spider-Man for him.
Right?
Yeah.
And another thing that I loved about it was the incorporation of the Amazing Spider-Man and Tobey's universe. Because I did not see that coming whatsoever.
Neither did I. I figured they would have I would have figured they would have used like clips or like audio, like maybe from the movies, but still just like seeing like Uncle Ben, like from Spider-Man, and then seeing Andrew and Dennis Leary from Amazing Spider-Man, just that definitely took me like for a loop, because like, oh wow, Jesus, man.
I wish they would have given us Tom Holland and his Aunt May. Like that would have been icing on the cake, but they still succeeded.
I think if anything, they might be saving like a Tom Holland appearance, if not from footage, maybe Tom Holland actually for Beyond the Spider-Verse, because like I said, they're still holding their cards to the chest.
And since we're used to it, we're 2 movies deep into this trilogy anyway, so we've gotten all the Easter eggs. Well, we not all the Easter eggs, but as many cameos as our heart can handle.
Yeah, and it's probably, I'm sure if some fans have probably already like figured it out, but still, it would take fans like hours to like distinguish like how many spiders are in this movie.
And that's what adds to this movie too, is I feel like it's endlessly rewatchable.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
I feel like you can watch it so many times, and just to look for the Easter eggs is fun enough, but I feel like this one, even though this one is 2.5 hours and the first one's like what, an hour and 40 something minutes, this one's like,
it's like 2 hours,
an hour
exactly
50, close to 2 hours. Yeah.
This one's basically 30 minutes longer, but I think this one went by faster, honestly.
It really did.
A little bit, yeah.
I feel like the pacing of this one was a little bit better than Into the Spider-Verse. I think it went by faster, and I love Kingpin as the villain, but I think the villain, it being kind of Spider-Man 2099, but Spot being the villain, I liked that better in this movie, because I also liked how they went against type, because they make him a joke in the very beginning. They make him a joke.
Right, yeah, because he kind of like...
He is one of the dorkiest.
He kind of is a joke.
Yeah, he's like the dorkiest villain in Spider-Man's Rose
They're kind of they're kind of making it self-aware, like, hey, we know this is dumb. But then at the same time, you think it's just going to be a joke, and like, if you don't know anything going into the movie, because I didn't know anything about Spot before this movie, I didn't know anything in the comic.
I don't think hardly anyone does.
So when I watched it and they made like a joke about it, and then they actually like all of a sudden it just switched and it turned to like actually being a scary villain, where you're like, oh my God, he's going to do something. And like, you even fear for Peter B. Parker in that one scene when you see, I think it's something flashes outside his window and he looks out the window, and it's Gwen. But for a moment,
you think it's Spot. Okay, I can see that. Because he can appear anywhere. Yeah, okay, I can see that for sure. But yeah, I definitely, because Lord and Miller, the directors of the first movie and who are still executive producers, they wanted to do Spot as a villain. Like, they loved the Spot, like, and they wanted to make him like not a joke. They did a really great job with the Spot. But not only do I love the Spot and Spider-Man 2099, but I also really like the idea of like Aaron Davis as Earth 42's Kingpin in a sense, as well as like their version of Miles as the Prowler. And apparently, I don't know who, but it's not Shameik Moore voicing that Miles Morales. I don't know who, but you would have to look it up. But yeah, I thought it was going to be Shameik Moore doing both versions, but no.
Yeah, I honestly love their choices in villains, like being able to like have like their own iteration of Wilson Fisk in one movie, and then in the second you follow up with like 2 or 3 different Prowlers, and then you have Viv, Doc Ock, and well, I think she got arrested in the first one, but in the second one, to bring in like a multiverse powered villain, like He can travel anywhere in the Spider-Verse that he wants, and he tells Miles specifically, "I'm your nemesis," and then this dude at some point in the future, later on in the movie, he's like, "Yo, I'm about to take everything from you, like you took everything from me," and it's like, "Yo, he just threatened to murder Miles' family and friends," and
If
that's
he
when it
finds
gets
out.
personal. Yeah, if he finds out where they are, it gets personal. I know he remembers what Earth he came from, but I don't know how long it'll take for him to get back to that Earth because Miles is hemmed up right now. If Spot were to do something right now, he totally could, and no one would be there to stop him.
Right, yeah, that's it. Well, maybe Gwen will maybe have a solution to that, possibly, so that they can find the Spot. But still, like we just don't know. But man, oh man, I'm just
I think what's going to happen in part 3 is somebody's going to rescue Miles while Gwen and the crew are protecting like the people on Miles's Earth from Spot. Like they'll fight Spot until Miles shows up, and then Miles saves the day when
right.
they get into a bind. Yeah.
I think it might be maybe Gwen or Peter B. Parker that might maybe find him on 42 and just get him out of Dodge. But part of me thinks that either he will deal with, he'll fight and finish off like like his evil twin and Aaron either on 42, or they'll somehow find a way like to travel through the dimensions and follow him and just like cause as much chaos.
Yeah, it's so many different ways you could go with that because it's just like if nobody does come for Miles, you could bring in the dad. Oh, actually, no, the dad in that universe is dead. So,
Yeah, or you could also implant that version of Miles on his original Earth. Yeah, they could do that too.
yeah, there's so many different ways because ultimately, if Spot did destroy the original Earth that he came from, that could have give Miles no home, and Miles have to stumble like maybe on Earth 616, and then that's when Miles makes himself at home at 616.
Well, no. Remember, it's like in Spider-Verse terms, it's Earth 1999999.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Their numbering system is
Well,
crazy.
I think it's like different because from Marvel, like MCU, like Marvel terms and like Spider terms. It's weird.
Yeah, I forgot all about that, but I honestly love the way they handled it, and there's so many ways you could go with it going into the third movie. But
Definitely.
Another thing about this film that I think that isn't talked about enough that should be is the first one. While I feel like I'm dunking on the first one a lot, I'm just trying to use it as a comparison because first one's still an A+, but
Mhm.
the first one is definitely more kid friendly than this one. This one has more adult themes in it, and I feel like it's more
Darker, more morally gray.
It's darker. There's more of a threat. There's more tension. You actually feel like there's more stakes in this one, and I feel like
Agreed.
while it's still like you can still take a kid and see it, it's perfectly fine. They'll still love it. Be just for all the Spider-Man. I mean, if I was a little 6-year-old kid seeing all the Spider-Man, my mind would be blown. But like, it was nice to have a more adult feeling to this one than the first, because the first one definitely does feel like it's a little towards the kid side, and this one is a little towards the adult side, and I like that.
Right. Well, if
Yeah.
anything, they might have also had in mind because the first one came out in 2018, and it's been like 4.5 years now since then. So the kids who watched it back then, like maybe 10, like 9, like they've grown up, like 14, 15, however old, and maybe they'll mature it a little bit more, like maybe either still see it as in the eyes of the kid, or like be like, oh, that's interesting. This is more darker than I thought, and like make them think a little bit, make them like ponder like what's right and what's wrong.
Because
I appreciated the maturity of it.
The maturity for sure. Yeah,
because when you look at Miles being 15, like there are some kids that are like sneaking up on his age that can sit in the theater and like relate to him. It's just like,
definitely.
Okay, I now we're having girl problems, and now I can't trust the Spider Society.
I've got issues at home with my family. I've got problems balancing work life and Spider life and school work, and
now I got to choose between billions of lives and my dad.
Or my dad.
Yeah. So it's relatable enough
It's
for
to
them to get
anyone.
their point across. Yeah. So I think that it introduces a lot of mature elements for
Definitely.
Miles as a character, and then the other characters around him. So the movie you could see the growth in this story. Every character.
And you wouldn't necessarily have to watch the first one in order to get a sense of like what's going on. It would probably be better if you did, but I would recommend it. But still, like if you could watch either one alone or not, but definitely watch them together if you had my opinion.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's all I had for
I think we
Across
covered
the
about it
Spider-Verse.
all
Yeah.
in the last hour and a half, 40.
Whew.
Yeah.
We hit the 215 mark, so not
Yeah,
too
we kind of
bad.
got sidetracked with ourselves and also just Nick just being
Hot
Nick.
Take City.
Hot
Oh,
Take
Lord.
Nick. That's gonna be
Yeah.
new nickname. Hot Take Nick.
Hot Take Nick.
Man.
That's perfect for him.
The hot takes. We're just reaching the surface of those hot takes. Let me tell you.
Oh
Oh
man.
Lord, I'm not sure how much more I can take.
And we got so many summer movies left to go. Just
I
this
know
month
we got
alone.
one this next Friday that I'm sure that you'll be covering next week.
Yeah, we got Transformers that Jacob's probably not going to watch, so we'll cover that in episode 6 this month. And then there's Indiana Jones and Elementals that we
And
might
The
see Jacob
Flash.
again and the Flash.
Yeah, you'll see me for the Flash definitely. I as the Flash has always been one of my favorite DC characters,
Absolutely.
superheroes in general, and like
Mhm.
the fact that we're finally getting a Flash movie, and I'm about to be 25 now, and we're finally, it's like,
Mhm. Yes.
like
And
I just wish the whole Ezra Miller stuff didn't happen. That's the only sad part is I am so excited for this movie, but I'm also just like, man, that guy's a piece of shit. Like, sorry,
Well,
but
yeah. I mean, it's like going to see Aquaman 2, or like rewatching Aquaman. I'm so happy that Aquaman Jason Momoa is getting this hype that he's doing this. I just do not want to watch Amber Heard or like anything related to her. Yeah,
she
kinda
was
like
such
that.
a great Mara too.
She was. I liked her as Mara, and then
fumbled the bag.
she literally shit on Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fumbled a freaking bag. Like, come
I
on,
know.
girl.
I am excited. Everybody's excited for Michael Keaton's Batman, and you guys might be too, but I didn't really grow up with Michael Keaton's Batman, so I'm not.
Well, that's understandable. Like you said, you're 25, so you probably missed that.
He's not really my Batman's Christian Bale. He's not.
Yeah.
Of course.
He's Michael Keaton. So like, I'm not really excited to see Michael Keaton because I watched Batman Returns a lot as a kid. I love that one, but I just loved it because of Danny DeVito's Penguin, honestly.
Understandably.
Yeah.
Batman Returns is one of my favorites too.
I never really cared for I like Michael Keaton's Batman, but it's never been like where I'm like, whoa. And like even in the first one, I watched it for like the Prince music, Jack Nicholson's Joker, and Michael Keaton's Batman's kind of an afterthought where I feel like I'm more excited, honestly, for Ben Affleck's Batman.
Really?
Ew.
Okay. No. This is where me and Deontay differ. I actually like Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he's done a really good job as Batman and Bruce Wayne.
It's another Henry Cavill situation in my mind. I feel like they wasted him.
Right, exactly. I mean, they were originally, before the Batman was the Batman with Robert Pattinson, he was supposed to have his own movie, and it just didn't happen. He was gonna try and write it and direct it and produce it. I felt like he maybe tried to take on a little bit much, but still, like, I would have loved to seen and it was gonna be like a Batman versus Deathstroke movie. I was wanting to see that happen. I still want to, but I know we're never gonna get it.
My only issue with Ben Affleck's Batman, and this is a Zack Snyder issue more than it is a Ben Affleck's issue, is I don't like how brazen he is with the killing. Because that I get the point because he is an older, more depressed, older, more dour Batman, but I feel like they could have went about that a different way than what they did in the DCEU, where in Batman v Superman he's just blowing up people, just killing people all the time, and I'm just like,
well,
It's a strange timeline that they picked.
Well, my mind will always see like unless I see a body, then
because like the dark, because like they based his Batman basically off the Dark Knight Returns, and even and the Killing Joke, but even in the Dark Knight Returns,
he didn't kill anyone. Yeah,
he didn't kill anyone. He was more brutal to them, but he never killed them. So like I never got why, and people use that as an excuse as to why they kill. They're like, oh, they're doing the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns, and that's why he's killing people. But I'm like, if you watch the Dark Knight, like because I mean they have the movie and you can read the graphic novel too. He doesn't kill anybody. He's just more brutal. He's just an older, more sour Batman, and like they should have done that. And I feel like Zack Snyder didn't really understand the character of Batman. And this is something I've always wanted to say. If you watch, Zack Snyder's always been, and he's even admitted this, he's always been a Superman guy first. So really, he, in his universe, he used Batman as a way to service Superman, like as a way to make Superman look better. I feel like he used Batman as like, because Superman's the reason why Batman becomes good again. He sees the good in the world after Superman dies, and like I feel like that's why I'm not like all these Snyder fans. I'm just not a Snyder fan because he did not do Batman justice. It was more about Superman.
I can actually see that. Yeah, no, I can see like how he would use like Batman to lift up Superman. But no, I mean like even with all of that, I'm still like maybe not Zack Snyder. I do like Zack Snyder as a director, but not with everything. Like you said, he did better with Man of Steel than he did Batman v Superman for sure. But
absolutely.
But no, I'm definitely still like a huge fan of like the Snyderverse, like all most if not all the movies like from the last like decade for sure, and definitely.
Yeah, when you watch the Flash trailers, it's just like, man, this is going to be a Batman movie with a Barry Allen appearance. So
yes, exactly. Yes, definitely.
Which, you know what? I'm fine with. I love Batman, so I mean,
there you go.
I love Batman too, but I've been dying. I'm 32 years old, and I'm like, man, come on, give me Barry Allen in a standalone film just once.
He just finished the series. Give him his movie.
Because like, I don't know what you guys think of the CW series is trash. I think.
Oh my gosh! I will say it just ended. I will say like it kind of like got a little bit like wear and tear.
I literally made it. I made it to season 2, and then I was like, I cannot watch this anymore. This is trash.
Really? Damn. Well, no. Like in the beginning, it was really great. I mean, overall, I still think it's like a really good, really great show. Definitely one of my favorites. But in the beginning, it was definitely better. Like season 1, one of the best. Season 2, I thought it was a great follow-up. Season 3 I liked season 4 better than I did season 3 for sure. And I liked season 5 and season 6. I definitely loved, especially like when they did blood work. Like in the beginning.
5 was Thinker, right?
No, 4 was Thinker.
Okay, that's all. I dropped off at 4. Yeah.
I dropped
4 was Thinker, and they brought in Elongated Man, which is why Elongated Man made me love it even more that season particularly.
Yeah, Ralph Dibny killed it, man.
I know, and I just hated that they fired his actor, understandably, but still, man.
Most DC fans, they dropped off Flash, the CW series around maybe season 2 or 3. I dropped off at 4 for sure, but
I stopped.
Grant killed it nonetheless.
I haven't watched The Flash, I think since the last season, since season 8. If anything, I'll probably like. I was originally going to like binge watch the whole series before season 9 premiered, but now that the series is over and everything's on Netflix, I'll probably just binge watch the entire series just to get
I can sum up the whole series for you guys right here. Here's the whole series of The Flash, CW series. This is Jacob Stone's perspective's interpretation of the whole series of The Flash right here.
Of television series.
I only lied to protect you.
it's here it is. I'm in love with my creepy kind of sister, and I'm not fast enough. I'm not fast. Every episode is I'm not fast enough. He gets upset. Somebody has to tell him he's fast. I'm like, you're the Flash, bro. You're fast enough. Like that's what killed me. That's why I quit at season 2. It was every episode. I swear he gets upset and goes, I'm not fast enough. I'm not. That's all the whole show is. I'm not fast enough. And then it's Iris or his weird little computer buddy that's like, oh, come on, you can do it. And I'm just like,
Cisco is not weird. He's freaking awesome.
come
and
on.
No, yeah, no, and yeah,
Danny said the exact same thing.
And they were raised together, but she was like his adopted sister, and like I don't think he really ever saw her like as a sister.
It's
like
still
ever.
weird, man.
I mean, a little, but also like, where's he gonna go? Like, who's gonna take him? Like, they just, I mean, yeah, and yeah,
That
I
was
do
an
kind of see like how
unnecessary
like
change.
I do kind of see like how whiny he can be, like, but still like
Not
there are
fast
times where I mean, I don't know, like more speedsters, new types of speedsters, yeah. But
Grant was a good Barry. He was.
Grant was a great Flash. He's a great Barry Allen.
Yeah, I honestly don't like the twists that they put on Iris and Wally. It's just like, man, if you're going to give us a completely different Iris and Wally, don't even have them related to Barry. Or I know his dad went to jail for murdering his mom, but they could have found a different foster situation on that note. Like,
I don't know. They just made it like wholesome family, I guess. And I mean, yeah, they did. They just took on the new version of Wally, where he's like the brother to Iris West from the comics, and which was good.
yeah, I don't mind a black speedster in being in comic book adaptations. It's just that make sure the story is cohesive and it'll last long, and you don't have to find contradictions later on or even look for them.
Yeah, it also didn't help that like Keenan Lonsdale, he only stayed on like full time for like 2.5 seasons.
Yeah, and Reverse Flash made several different appearances, which is my favorite, one of my favorite DC villains of all time. But
which Tom Cavanaugh and Matt Betcher, both versions of Reverse Flash, killed it.
Yeah,
No matter.
I would.
If I want to see
in this movie,
if I want to see the Reverse Flash, I'll just watch Flashpoint Paradox. Like that's my.
That is peak Reverse Flash right now.
I can agree with that. Yeah, that was a great Reverse Flash for sure.
Yeah, they take the guy who played Homelander in The Boys and made him
Anthony Starr. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they were to do Reverse Flash in the films, he would make a great Reverse Flash.
Yeah, he would. Just him versus Ezra Miller's Barry Allen. It would have been a great clash.
Which Psycho is faster, Homelander or Ezra Miller?
Yeah, literally. And that's what sucks because, like, even in Justice League, I never liked Ezra Miller. The only thing is the only Snyder thing that I really love is the Snyder cut. That's the only thing I really love about the out of all
his
Snyderverse.
Justice League. well, of course, reasonably, like after like his daughter, like he had reasonably understandably like left, which but definitely like his full version of Justice League was much better than what Joss Whedon has ever done. The Snyder
cut is easily the best of that whole DCEU for me. Easily the best. Like it's
agreed.
And it actually made me like I hated Ezra Miller's Flash in the Justice League movie. He just did weird eye movements and he just tried to make jokes all the time. And I was just like, this is not the Flash. But like what they did with him in the Snyder cut was it's arguably one of the best comic book movie scenes of all time when he's reversing time by going fast and like everybody
doing a much better job of it. Yes.
You're seeing like Superman's flesh come back, and it's like he literally saves everybody. And like it made me like Ezra Miller. I was like, okay, I can see Ezra Miller as like Ezra Miller is actually really good in the Snyder cut as the Flash. I think
they did a better job for everyone in the Snyder cut for sure. But yes, Ezra Miller is a good Flash, though I prefer Grant Gustin myself.
But
between Wally West and Barry Allen, they both have had to mess with time to save the world. And
I
it's a
like.
couple
I love
occasions
him.
it's even cost them their lives.
I love him in the Snyder Cut, Ezra Miller, but like I wish this movie had a different Flash coming up. It's kind of a downer. Like I'm going into it kind of a downer because I'm just like, man, I really have been wanting a Flash movie for so long, and this is the actor we get for the Flash. Like
Yeah,
I'm
our luck
going
was
in
so
it.
terrible on that.
I'm going in it just like as a fan of the comics, as a fan of the Flash. I'm not going to
he
tell him
wasn't
with any
casted
judgments.
well. Like even before all of the controversy, he still wasn't a good casting. Even before.
No, absolutely not.
I don't see why they picked him for the Flash. They could have picked so many other people.
There's so many actors that could make a good Flash, and
That's true.
honestly, I'm not on board with Grant Gustin coming into the movies. I think like
No.
CW's had held on to him for so long that everybody should just let him go and do something else in film. Like
I don't think he has the acting chops to be in a movie either. That's just me. I think he's more set for TV show acting because like when he gets emotional, it's bad. It's bad. When he's crying, it's bad. And the Flash, I'm not fast enough. Like I just
he'll make a good side character in one of these movies and just be like, "Hey, cameo."
Make him a background character, you know?
Right.
Like,
he'll make an awesome cameo that we would not see coming.
Oh boy!
I always try to think.
I mean, Ezra Miller did appear in like Crisis on Infinite Earth, so maybe we'll see Grant Gustin in the Flash.
You know who I used to think would be a really good Flash, but then I don't know. Ansel Elgort, Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. I've never seen Baby Driver, but I do know who you're talking about.
Him, I think he would be a really good Flash, but like, it's just like one of those things where it's like, man, they just really just did not cast the Flash well.
They didn't care about Barry Allen. You can tell by just looking at the Flash movie trailers. It's just like, why aren't we getting more Flash activity over Batman activities?
Yeah, it's like, and let's bring in. By the way, let's bring in Supergirl. Let's bring Michael Shannon back as General Zod.
Focus on those guys.
Let's revive Zack Snyder again with the Flash and put him to the side and just bring everyone else back. Though I am really excited to see Supergirl and this version because from it looks like Sasha Calle is going to do a great job as Supergirl and I'm just really I don't know why I can't. It's just really I'm really excited and to see her as Supergirl and just definitely because I think since the show and I know the show wasn't everyone's favorite for sure, but Melissa Benoist did a great job and I've been a Supergirl fan ever since and now I'm just really excited to see more Supergirl and hopefully she'll keep playing Supergirl.
Yeah, she looks exactly like a comic book version of Supergirl that's known as Mia Kent. I think it's like either adoptive daughter or adopted sister in the Kent family. And that's who she physically resembles. But in the movie, she's playing Kara El, which is Kal-El's cousin. Yeah. So it's just like, man, honestly, they were a little bit reckless with that casting, but since she's so fine and nobody cares, we'll let it slide.
Well, yeah. I mean, they could have found someone who was like an actual blonde, or they could have dyed her hair blonde. But no, I actually like the look that they went with this short, dark hair, and just I like the way that they have her look.
And I saw an interview with Michael Shannon, and they said he basically only showed up for a few weeks, and they just did a bunch of green screen work for his character. So that kind of scares me. That they only used him. They only shot for a few weeks with him, and it was all green screen work. Like that. Like he said, he didn't work out or anything for the role. That they just kind of used a lot of effects. I saw he did a recent interview with Vanity Fair where he said that it like the Man of Steel. He actually went to the gym and worked out, and it was months and months of training and being on set. Well, apparently for this movie, he said he got a call and he asked for Zack Snyder's blessing before he accepted it. And Zack Snyder gave him the blessing, and he said he was there for only a couple of weeks, and he was mainly on the studio lot, and they just did a lot. It was a lot of special effects. He didn't get in shape or anything, so that kind of scares me.
Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of works too. Though I do like, I understand and appreciate the fact that he actually went to like Zack Snyder and be like to ask for his blessing to play Zod one more time after everything that happened. So I do appreciate that for sure.
And some of the early reviews are already out, and I think the Rotten Tomatoes score is out too.
It's 72% right now.
72%, and
I've heard
IGN gave it a 7.
Because we've heard like people like claim that this is possibly like one of the best films, one of the best DC films, one of the best superhero films.
Tom Cruise came out and said it was one of the best films he's ever seen.
Right. Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
And even Henry Cavill, like he saw it and like he loved it. He loved The Flash. So
James loved it. Yeah, a couple people really enjoyed it, but IGN still gave it a 7 compared to Across the Spider-Verse, which ended up getting like a 8.5 or a 9.
Screen Rant gave it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. I'm going to go in with nothing to judge or like no expectations, but
I'm going in with very low expectations.
Me too.
I'm going in with very, very low expectations, honestly.
Be the meat bar.
Yeah, because I am probably not going to be pleased with how they treated Barry in this film, but I got to get through it somehow. So
we will get through it together.
I get a little bit more Ben Affleck Batman. That's what I'm excited for.
Right. And what I'm a little bit worried because Ben has said that he's only in like 5-6 minutes of the film, and I just want him to be in more of it. And he's even said that, dude, shut up.
Why do you hate Ben so much, man?
He is just not. He is not Bruce Wayne by any.
He's a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman.
I think he pulls off Bruce Wayne and Batman pretty good.
I think
he's kind of Batman.
It's more
and he even said like in interviews that he's even said in like interviews like when he did The Flash. That was when he really found the niche, like when he found his Batman, when he figured it out, and now it's like, no, don't stop playing him. No.
Yes, stop playing him. I'm done with Ben. Give me Patterson, Bale, or Keaton again.
Unless they want to have him have Ben have like his own Damian Wayne for the Brave and the Bold, which I wouldn't hate. Like, please, but I'm just.
Maybe Damian will steal the show from him. That's what I'm hoping, because I don't need him.
You just have a vendetta against Ben Affleck's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He has a vendetta against Ben Affleck. He has a vendetta against Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
He's got a vendetta. He's got a list.
I can see Dwayne Johnson. The man plays the same guy in every movie.
It's Dwayne Johnson in every movie, basically. It's
just his Black Adam is not Black Adam.
It's a Black Adam.
It's Dwayne Johnson with lightning bolts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it all.
Yeah. I'm excited for this new Batman movie in the next couple of weeks. So
that'll be probably the next topic we talk about in the next show is The Flash, because this week I don't see anything coming out. Also, I will be seeing The Blackening as well.
Oh,
that looks hilarious.
I've seen a little bit of that. It does look really, really funny.
It's a horror comedy, and I love horror comedy.
It's a horror black comedy.
Where is it at?
The Blackening.
Is it in theaters?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
When does it come out? I think that's what he meant.
It comes out the same weekend as The Flash.
Oh, okay.
Same weekend.
That's probably why we haven't really heard too much about it. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of like when they did like versions of like Haunted House with like Marlon Wayans, or like there's another one that he did, like I can't remember. Like I think he did a take on 50 Shades of Grey too.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he did 50 Shades of Black is what it's called.
Oh god, of course it is. Of course it is. Wait, is Marlon Wayans in this?
No, it's not. It's
Oh, okay.
I want to know who. I forgot who. It's some name that's done previous work that's done it. They're really good directors. I forgot who they are though. But yeah, The Blackening and The Flash will be my next 2 reviews for sure, because definitely. I'm excited for. I mean, I'm not excited for The Flash, but I am. I mean, little kid Jacob wants to see it so bad, so I'm gonna go see it.
Little kid
But
Jacob.
like, yeah, there's a little kid inside of me that's just like, you got to see the Flash. You've been waiting 24, 25 years for this. Come on.
Damn straight you have. So
There's
we all
3
have.
more movies
Well,
too. Are you going to go see Indiana Jones, Transformers, The Elements?
I will
Elementals?
see. I will definitely see Indiana Jones. I've been a lifelong Indiana Jones fan since I was a kid. Definitely hyped for that one. And Elementals, I will try to see. I love Pixar, and it actually looks pretty decent. So I will try to get Elementals in there for sure. The only one this month that I'm probably gonna see all the big ones this month for sure, and some
but not Transformers.
Not Transformers. No, I can't do it. I checked
Just
out.
not a fan?
I am not a fan. I watched the first one when it came out. Loved it. It was my favorite movie ever. I had the DVD and I watched it probably over 100 times. That was my favorite movie of all time for the longest. And then I watched the second one, and the second one I was like, I'm done. Like, no, thank you. And then
They do get a little bit out of hand, and also Michael Bay kept directing them for like forever. But it does help that like he's not doing them anymore. I mean, like he's not directing them. Travis Knight directed Bumblebee, which was stellar. That's one I would recommend you watch because that's probably my favorite Transformers movie. And we have a new director. I can't remember who it is, but Rise of the Beast looks like it's going to be really, really good.
I mean, it looks interesting. I like giant creatures. So I mean, that's cool. But like, I'll let you guys handle that one because
definitely. I'm definitely going to be watching Transformers: Rise of the Beast, probably with like Blake and Dane, hopefully Deontay, but as well as the Flash with all of us at SNN and Comically Inclined, and then the weekend after on May 24th, you can catch me, Deontay, Will, and possibly someone else, a guest or someone.
It might be Tommy if he comes.
Definitely, but you can catch all of us like on our next episode 6, for our recap, our takes on the Flash, on our takes on Spider-Man, as well as the Transformers and what's next to come, for sure.
Absolutely. So Jake's got his hands full for the month of June.
I'm gonna be busy for sure, and I'm gonna have, like I said, I don't have all the big headliners besides Transformers, and then I'm gonna have little side movies, indie type, smaller movies that I'll talk about in there too, like with the Flash, like I did today with like the Boogeyman before Across the Spider-Verse, and next time I'll talk the Blackening with the Flash.
Nice. You already got the formula down.
He's got it down.
Because that's what we did originally on our main podcast. Is we review like 2 TV shows and a movie, or 2 movies and a TV show. It
just depends on what's out.
Yeah, 3 topics is usually more than enough to cover.
Yeah, we say that as we're hitting 240 now.
Yeah.
You want to close us out, Jake Godfather?
Yes. This is, you guys, thank you for watching. You can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to YouTube, like on Facebook, SNN, Saturday Night Nerds. We're going to have a bunch of movies coming. I mean, you'll see the next movie that'll be covered by us will be Transformers. It'll be Deontay and Cameron and probably some others. And then you'll see me back again with the Flash and the Blackening in a week and a half. And then, you'll see me a lot this June on movies. And just have a good night, everybody. Yeah.
Absolutely. That concludes episode 2, Jacob's Films Perspectives. Thank you everybody for coming out, and make sure you like, subscribe, follow Jacob's Films Perspective on IG, and then you want to catch his shows. They're on every streaming platform except for Apple Podcasts at the moment, but that will be updated soon too. And then if you want to see like these live streams, you can go to the Saturday Night Nerds Network YouTube channel. And he has his own playlist just for Jacob's Film Perspective that you can watch and catch up on his old reviews.
Last thing I gotta say, go see Drive. I will get that down eventually, but go see Drive that one. Yeah, there we go. Go see Drive. Go watch it.
Go see Drive. Absolutely.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
Peace out.